Chapter 31:17. What do you mean accept you? Linny was taken aback. Let me be your girlfriend, Liljo said. Didn't you say that if you can't change, then don't change? What I mean is, we're childhood sweethearts. What does that have to do with you being my girlfriend? Linny couldn't help but smile bitterly. Liljo really knew how to push her luck. Isn't childhood sweetheart a girlfriend? Liljo asked back. Chi-Chi and I are childhood sweethearts, so she's my girlfriend too? Wouldn't both of you be my girlfriends then? Linny asked back. That's right, who says we aren't? Liljo said matter-of-factly. Godfather has so many wives. Oh. Linny was speechless. Let's not talk about this for now, inheritors can't do that. So the girlfriend thing, we'll put it off for now. I know we won't go to bed for now. Hugs are still fine, Liljo said. Oh. Liljo, when did you become so impure? Linny sweated. Do you expect a girl who spends all her time on the internet to be pure? I can't even tell if she's a man or a woman anymore, Liljo said. Oh. Linny was speechless. Then let's talk when we meet? It's such a serious matter, we can't talk about it over the phone. Sure. Liljo didn't say much to Linny this time, knowing when to stop. If she didn't know about Linny's change from Chi-Chi, she wouldn't have been able to push him so hard today. If it were the old Linny, he probably wouldn't have said anything at all. Right, Liljo, I'm calling you this time because I need your help with something, Linny said. Are you good at encrypting MCU programs? Most of the MCU programs on the market can be decrypted. Why do you ask? Liljo was confused as to why Linny would ask about this. It's like this. Linny told Little Nine about how Han Jingjing had invented an automatic medicine cauldron that could be used to refine pills. Oh, that's easy. Send me the source code, and then I'll help you encrypt it and put it into a kind of single-chip microcomputer that Godmother and I developed in the past. There's no information on this kind of single-chip microcomputer. The encryption is very powerful, and it's very difficult to decrypt it, Liljo said directly after listening. Okay. Then I'll send it to your email later. Linny was relieved that he had settled one thing. Yes. Aren't you going to generate a lot of programs? What do you want for each one? Tell me and I'll help you rearrange the encryption. Little Nine said. No problem. Linny nodded. How's Chi-Chi recently? Still the same. After Sister Seven knows that I don't have to run around for my illness, she'll focus on helping you find the blue crystal and the other things. Once there's news, I'll inform you, Little Nine said. Okay, I won't be busy for a while. I'll go back and take a look, Linny said. After ending the call with Little Joe, Linny hesitated for a moment. He dialed Lu Jinghan's phone directly. This time Linny didn't look for Lu Tianyi directly, but Lu Jinghan directly. Linny didn't know why. Maybe he wanted to prove something? Mr. Lin Yi? Lu Jinghan quickly picked up the phone. Her voice sounded a little happy, but also a little worried. Miss Lu Jinghan, I heard that the bank has begun to collect debts? Linny asked directly. Yes, the Lu family owed a lot of debts before. Lu Jinghan didn't hide it. Instead, she told the truth. But Jinghan is already working hard to find new money-making projects. You don't have to keep the change. I'll give you one, Linny said and told Lu Jinghan about the automatic first-grade medicine cauldron that Han Jingjing had invented. There's such a magical thing? Jinghan really admires the person who invented it. Lu Jinghan said with some guilt. Jinghan just got a bargain like this. It's not good, right? There's nothing bad about it. This is the person who invented it. She said that she wanted to give it to your Lu family. She is very important to me. And her words are also very important to me. So it's a bargain for your Lu family, said Lin Yi. And Lu Jinghan was suddenly a little excited. What did you say? Linny was slightly stunned. I'm sorry, Mr. Lin. Jinghan is a little lost. It's really, this thing is too magical. It makes Jinghan very excited. I think that after this thing is on the market, those hidden families and ancient sects will come to please the Lu family. Lu Jinghan said sincerely. Well, the marketing plan of this matter will be handed over to you. Linny nodded and didn't say anything more to Lu Jinghan. I hope you won't disappoint my friend's efforts. You must make this medicine cauldron well. Mr. Lin, please rest assured. Jinghan will do her best. Lu Jinghan promised. That's good. I won't say anything more. Lin Yi said. However, you'd better come to East Ocean City to pick up the sample. After all, I'm not too assured if I send it to you. Also, you haven't come into contact with the principal of the medicine cauldron, so I want to tell you personally. In fact, these words of Lin Yi were just excuses. In Lin Yi's heart, there was suddenly a very persistent thought, and that was to see Lu Jinghan. Lu Jinghan Jingjing Han Jingjing. Could there be any relationship between them? However, Lin Yi felt that it was not very likely. However, Lu Jinghan's in seemed to have touched something deep in Lin Yi's heart. It made Lin Yi insist on seeing her. Okay, then I'll rush over today. We can meet tomorrow. Lu Jinghan agreed readily without the slightest hesitation. This made Lin Yi a little disappointed. It seemed that some of his ideas should be wrong. See you tomorrow. Lin Yi nodded and hung up the phone without any interest. Then, Lin Yi began to continue to study condensing the forging fire. Now that Lin Yi's technique of condensing the forging fire was getting more and more skilled, Lin Yi didn't dare to condense the jade pendant space easily because the materials he had were extremely limited. If the refining failed, then Lin Yi wouldn't be able to find a place to cry. This thing also had a success rate like alchemy. Although failure wouldn't cause any damage to the jade pendant, the materials would be lost. Therefore, Lin Yi must have more than 80% confidence before he dared to make a move. At night, Lin Yi was condensing the jade pendant space when he suddenly felt a car parked outside the villa. The two people in the car were both cultivators. Chapter 31:18. Lin Yi stood up and walked out of the room. Since they were already here, Lin Yi didn't want to let them in. After all, Dongfang Bura was a practitioner, and Lin Yi didn't want him to hurt Su Shihan and Yushu. One had to know that this guy was a pervert. Even if he didn't do anything to Su Shihan and Yushu, it would still make Lin Yi uncomfortable. Young Master Bura will leave after we get Su Shihan. Don't cause any more trouble. Dongfang Hard said to Dongfang Bura after getting out of the car. I understand. Dongfang Bura didn't like Dongfang Hard's tone. But he knew that so many people had died. It was best to end this quickly, but he didn't want to give up. The Grand Elder of the Dark Palace took away a female student, and there was still one left. If he could get the other one with Su Shihan, that would be great. But he couldn't say it out loud. Dongfang Hard was about to enter when he saw Lin Yi standing in front of the villa. He jumped. It's you. Young Master Bura, run, I'll cover you. Dongfang Chong exclaimed subconsciously. He'd experienced Lin Yi's strength back at the Cultivator Trade Association, and he'd had to run for his life. Now that he was heavily injured, he couldn't use his full strength at all. He couldn't even protect Dongfang Bura, let alone defeat Lin Yi. He had to get Dongfang Bura to leave. Dongfang Bura paused, but he wasn't an idiot. If Dongfang Bura told him to run, then there must be danger. Dongfang Bura didn't care about Dongfang Hard's life and jumped into the car. Lin Yi frowned. Lin Yi wanted to keep both Dongfang Bura and Dongfang Hard here, but he didn't expect Dongfang Bura to be so cautious. But keeping one was enough. Fire Bagua Palm 9th style. While Dongfang Hao was distracted, Lin Yi struck out with the 9th style of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm. Dongfang Hao was worried that Dongfang Not Weak would not be able to defend himself in time. Lin Yi's palm was right in front of him, and he jumped in fright. He wanted to dodge, but Dongfang Burua's car hadn't started yet. He could only close his eyes helplessly and take the hit head-on, giving Dongfang Burua time to escape. It had to be said that the Dongfang people were very loyal. If he dodged, Lin Yi might have just smacked the car with the palm right before it started. Then Dongfang Bura would definitely die. Boom! Dongfang Chong had already revolved his Heart Sutra and used his true chi to protect his body, but he did not expect that Lin Yi's move would be so powerful that he was directly sent flying. Dongfang Bura's body shot out like a cannonball, smashing heavily into the car that Dongfang Burua had just started. The force was incomparably strong. If it hit Dongfang Burua's car, it would definitely flip over, and this was not what Dongfang Chong wanted to see. Dongfang Chong had no other choice. He could only withdraw his true chi protection and use his own true chi to resist Lin Yi's attack. Originally, Dongfang Chong's injury was not fatal, but this attack reduced the force of his flying. However, at the same time, Dongfang Chong also suffered a serious internal injury. He spat out a mouthful of blood. By the time he landed on the back of Dongfang Bura's car, he was already out of breath. Especially since he did not use his true chi protection, the injury on his head was very serious. It was obvious that he would not be able to live. Boom! Boom! At the same time, Dongfang Bura also started his car and quickly disappeared in front of Lin Yi's villa. Looking at Dongfang Bura's car leaving, Lin Yi hesitated for a moment and did not chase after him. The ninth move of the Frenzy 8 Trigram Palm had already used up most of Lin Yi's true chi. Only a small portion was left, so there was no need to talk about whether or not Lin Yi could catch up to Dongfang Bura. Even if he did, he would have used up most of his true chi. He did not have absolute confidence that he could kill Dongfang Bura. Moreover, there was the possibility of exposing his weakness. It was better to let Dongfang Bura see his strong side and have some fear. Otherwise, the next time he brought 2 heaven-class experts to cause trouble, Lin Yi really would not know how to deal with them. Seeing Dongfang Bura spitting out blood in the rearview mirror, Dongfang Bura thought that he was lucky. That was the power of a heaven-class mid-stage peak martial skill. Because he wanted to escape, he did not look at Lin Yi's own strength. Instead, he looked at Lin Yi's martial skill. Therefore, he subconsciously thought that Lin Yi was also a heaven-class mid-stage peak master. If that was the case, then killing Dongfang Bura, who was also injured, would not be a problem. But what did Dongfang Bura mean by that? This person in front of him was from the Everyday and Everyday sect? Since when did the ancient Feng family or Feng Tianlin have a connection with the Everyday and Everyday Day and Everyday sect, to the point that they were able to ask someone from the Everyday and Everyday Day and Everyday sect to protect Su Shihan? Or did Su Shihan, that bitch, hook up with a disciple from the Everyday and Everyday Day and Everyday sect to be her bodyguard? The first possibility was not high, and from Dongfang Bura's point of view, it was impossible. If Feng Tianlin was really that capable, then he would have been in control of House Feng a long time ago. Why would he need to be afraid of Feng Tianhu? So, from his point of view, the second possibility was the most likely. Dongfang Bura couldn't help but curse in his heart. Su Shihan, that bitch, he thought she was pure and innocent. Who would have thought that she was playing with second-hand goods? But the more it was like this, the harder it was for him to calm down. He had to get his hands on Su Shihan. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to take this lying down. But right now, the most important thing was to escape. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't let Dongfang Bura live. The people in the villa heard the commotion outside, and Feng Sanhuang and Wu Chuntian quickly came out. Feng Bro Chuntian, you guys take care of this person. Dongfang Bura didn't need Lin Yi to do anything. He was about to die anyway, so Feng Sanhuang and Chuntian found a place to take care of him. Yes. Thank you for your help, Mr. Lin. Feng Sanhuang said gratefully. This was a sky-class mid-phase peak master, and Dongfang Bura wasn't dead yet. Feng Sanhuang could see his strength clearly, and he was shocked. Lin Yi was indeed strong, killing a sky-class mid-phase peak master in one move. But Dongfang Bura ran away, we couldn't keep him here. Lin Yi sighed. Chapter 31:19. Oh! Lin Yi turned to look at Feng Sanhuang. The great elder of Dark Palace is powerful, right? But even she wouldn't dare kill Dongfang Bura. Her goal is to leave a way out for Dongfang family. Feng Sanhuang saw that Lin Yi didn't understand, so he continued. That's why I said it's a good thing. Lin Yi nodded but didn't deny it. Although Feng Sanhuang was right, Lin Yi and the ancient Feng family were already at each other's throats. There was no room for reconciliation. Even if Lin Yi let Dongfang Bura go, would Dongfang family let Lin Yi go? How could he just let this matter go like this? That was obviously impossible. Lin Yi's guess was right. The first thing Dongfang Bura did when he got back to the hotel was call Dongfang Jinxing for help. Bura, you're done, right? Don't stay any longer, come back to Dongfang family. Dongfang Jinxing picked up the phone and said to Dongfang not weak. He couldn't be blamed for not thinking too much. After all, Dark Palace's elder Dark Knight had already left. With Dongfang Hard, who was a peak mid-stage heaven class master, taking care of Su Shihan would be a piece of cake. Dad, something happened, Dongfang Hard died too. Dongfang Bura said with a sad face. That person was too strong, just one move and Dongfang Hard died. Luckily I ran fast or else I'd be dead too. What? Dongfang Jingxing was shocked. How did Dongfang Hard die too? What was going on? Didn't the great elder of Dark Palace leave? How did Dongfang Hard die? Dongfang Jingxing quickly asked. Burwa, what happened to you guys? Could it be that the supreme elder of the Dark Palace has returned? No, not from Dark Palace, but from the everyday sect. Su Shirhan, that bitch, seduced a young master from the everyday sect. He was also sky class mid-stage peak, and killed Dongfang Burwa in one move. And from the looks of it, Dongfang Hard seems to know that disciple from the everyday sect. Dongfang Hard did not dare to hide anything. Dongfang Burwa told Dongfang Jingxing everything that had happened in detail. However, Dongfang Burwa did not know that Dongfang Jingxing had suffered at the Cultivator Trade Association, so he only guessed that Dongfang Jingxing knew Lin Yi. Oh, the everyday sex people are involved? After Dongfang Jingxing heard this, he couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. Dongfang Bushu's death hasn't been settled with you guys yet. Not only did you guys kill Dongfang Jian, but you also colluded with Su Shirhan and killed Dongfang Jiang? This was intolerable. Even if they couldn't kill their way to the everyday sect, they had to kill this disciple of Su Shirhan. Otherwise, where would the Dongfang family's face go? After all, the Dongfang clan had lost so many people to this disciple of the everyday sect. How could the Dongfang clan tolerate this? Wouldn't anyone be able to shit on the Dongfang family in the future? Dongfang Jingxing needed to take some measures. But was the other side a peak mid-heaven rank expert? Didn't Dongfang Hao say that the opponent was a heaven rank initial phase expert? Could it be that he leveled up already? But Dongfang Jingxing wasn't stupid. He immediately thought of a problem. Dongfang Burua was in a hurry, so he didn't see the opponent's strength clearly. Judging from the way the opponent killed Dongfang Hao, the opponent should be a peak mid-heaven rank expert. This explained why the everyday sex disciples were all experts who had the ability to fight against enemies of a higher level. It wasn't strange for an initial phase heaven rank to kill a peak mid-heaven rank expert in a second. Even a peak late phase heaven rank expert like Dongfang Bushu was killed by an initial phase heaven rank expert. Yes. Dad, I can't take this lying down, what should I do? Dongfang Burua said. It's not just you, even I can't take this lying down. But if we want to find trouble with this person, normal experts won't be able to do anything. He can kill a peak mid-heaven rank expert in a second, which means that his combat ability has already reached late phase heaven rank. Unless we send a peak late phase heaven rank expert out, we won't be able to stop him. Dongfang Jingxing thought it through very clearly. It was just that he overestimated Lin Yi's strength. Hiss! Dongfang Burua was startled and thought that he was lucky. He quickly asked, So father, you're not his opponent? I can't say that I'm not his opponent, but at least I don't have the confidence to make him stay. So if we want to deal with them, unless your grandfather or uncle personally comes out, no one in our Dongfang family is his opponent. Dongfang Jingxing sighed. There was no news of the two ancestors. These two super experts of the Dongfang family only existed in name. Then, can grandfather and uncle come out? Dongfang Burua asked. I need to ask about this. He's not weak. During this period of time, find a place to hide and keep a low profile. At least before your grandfather or uncle comes out, don't act rashly. Dongfang Jingxing warned. Yes, I understand the importance, Dad. Dongfang Burua was not a fool. Dongfang Hao was dead, and he was left alone. Would he dare to act rashly? Wasn't that the same as courting death? Hearing Dongfang Burua's affirmative answer, Dongfang Jingxing breathed a sigh of relief. He hung up the phone and walked quickly to the room where Dongfang Badeo and Dongfang Yinxing were cultivating. Dang dang dang. Another knock at the door in the middle of the night. Dongfang Badeo also heard the footsteps of Dongfang Jingxing, so he said, Jingxing, what's the matter? Come in and talk. Father brother, something big has happened. Dongfang Jingxing felt depressed. Every time he came to the door, something big happened. What's the big thing? Dongfang Badeo was shocked and asked. Dongfang Hao is also dead. Dongfang Jingxing said. Today Dongfang Hao went to the Cultivator Trading Association and met the disciple of the everyday sect, and was injured. In the evening, he met the disciple again and was killed. He told Dongfang Badao and Dongfang Yinxing in detail. What? The everyday and everyday sect again? Dongfang Badao's eyes flashed with a fierce and insidious look. They are too much. Chapter 31:20. Wonderful novels for you to read. Don't be rash. Dongfang Badao waved his hand. The old man was still very calm. He pondered for a moment and said, I heard that the Day After Day sect has cultivated an important disciple of the Heaven Stage Island plan. We must find out the identity of this disciple of the Day After Day sect. Otherwise, if he is really that important disciple, then things will not be as simple as we think. If we touch him, what is waiting for us? I believe you two are very clear. Didn't Dongfang Jian die because he touched the inheritor of the Dark Night Palace? If we touch an important disciple nurtured by the Everyday and Everyday sect, then we will become the public enemy of the entire ancient world. Dongfang Badao's words immediately made Dongfang Jingxing and Dongfang Yinxing break out in a cold sweat. Yeah, wasn't Mingyao's lesson enough? The deaths of Dongfang Cha and Dongfang Song had caused the Dongfang family to suffer in silence. If they really touched the important disciples of the Heavenly Island project that the Everyday and Everyday sect had cultivated, no one would stand up for them even if they were to be exterminated. Father, if it really is that important disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect, are we just going to endure it? Dongfang Yinxing asked, a little depressed. Naturally, we can't just let it go like this. When we reach the peak of the late stage of the Heaven stage, then we will go to the Everyday After Sun sect to ask for an explanation. We can leave the important disciple alone, but the Everyday After Sun sect must pay the price. Dongfang Badao said. That's fine. What if it's not? Dongfang Yinxing asked. If not, then it's simple. When you get there, just kill him. Dongfang Badao said faintly. We don't dare to find trouble with the Everyday and Everyday sect now, but an ordinary disciple outside, we can kill him. All right. Dongfang Yinxing nodded and turned to Dongfang Jingxing. Big brother, quickly investigate the identity of the kid with Su Shihan. If there's nothing, I'll go kill him. I know, I will go and investigate. Dongfang Jingxing nodded. Out of Dongfang Badao's room, Dongfang Jingxing dialed Feng Tianhu's phone. To investigate who was around Su Shihan, no one was easier than Feng Tianhu. After all, he knew more about Su Shihan than the Dongfang family. This time Dongfang Huashuan didn't contact Dongfang Xiaotsui, but Feng Tianhu. He was afraid that Dongfang Xiaotsui would leak the news to Feng Tianlin. Hello? Feng Tianhu picked up the strange number, wondering who was calling. Mr. Feng Tianhu? I am Dongfang Jingxing from the Dongfang clan. Dongfang Jingxing introduced himself. Ah, greetings, young Master Dongfang. Feng Tianhu was a little excited. He didn't think that the Dongfang family, which he wasn't familiar with, would call him. One had to know that the Dongfang family was Dongfang Xiaotsui's family. Even if they didn't like Su Shihan and wanted to deal with her, they wouldn't do anything to harm Feng Tianlin. But this time Feng Tianhu was a little puzzled. Why was Dongfang Jingxing looking for him? Feng Tianhu, there is a bodyguard around Su Shihan, and I hope that you can investigate the identity of this bodyguard as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to deal with Su Shihan. Dongfang Jingxing said. Oh, Su Shihan's bodyguard? Isn't it Feng Sanhuang? He's just a mystic class master. How can it be difficult to deal with? Feng Tianhu was slightly stunned and then said, You mean the matter of the Dark Palace before? But didn't the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace already leave? She left, but... Dongfang Jingxing changed the topic and said painfully, I believe that you will know soon, so I won't hide it anymore. Our Dongfang family, the master with the strength of the peak middle stage of the heaven class, is also dead. The matter is like this. Dongfang Jingxing told the story to Feng Tianhu. Although it was a little shameful, he wanted Feng Tianhu to take it seriously and work hard to investigate. Dongfang Jingxing could only tell the truth. What? You mean Su Shihan colluded with the master disciples of the Everyday and Everyday sect? How is that possible? Feng Tianhu was shocked. He knew how powerful the Everyday and Everyday sect was. They were so powerful that even the Ice Palace in Snow Valley didn't dare to mess with them, let alone an ancient Feng family? Nothing is impossible. The truth is right in front of us. Dongfang Jingxing said. Feng Tianhu, you don't need to be afraid, you don't need to do anything. You just need to investigate this person's background. Leave the rest to me. Okay, I understand. Feng Tianhu gritted his teeth and nodded. Although investigating the everyday sect made him very scared, it was just a covert investigation and not a direct action, so it was fine. Young Master Dongfang, then wait for my news. Okay, then I'll wait for your call. Dongfang Jingxing hung up the phone and couldn't help but shake his head. He could tell that Feng Tianhu was scared. He felt disdain in his heart. With this kind of courage, he wanted to compete for the Feng family's master? On the second day after Dongfang Buro left, Lin Yi's villa returned to its usual peace. No one came to the door again. It seemed like Dongfang Buro gave up just like that? But with Lin Yi's understanding of the Dongfang family, it seemed like they wouldn't give up so easily. After all, they sent so many masters to investigate Dongfang Jian's death. But what surprised Lin Yi was that the ancient Dongfang family had a lot of heaven stage masters. In just a few months, 5 heaven stage masters, Dongfang Burua, Dongfang Jian, Dongfang Cha, Dongfang Song and Dongfang Chang, died one after another. If they could still send heaven stage masters, then their family was really rich. The next morning, a white BMW X5M stopped in front of Lin Yi's villa. Lin Yi, who had been on guard against Dongfang Burua's visit, naturally noticed the car. Originally, Lin Yi thought it was Han Jingjing's car. After all, it was exactly the same as Han Jingjing's car. But when he looked at the license plate, Lin Yi was slightly surprised. The license plate was from Yanjing City, and it was an unfamiliar number. Chapter 31:21. If Lin Yi's guess was right, this person should be the girl Lin Yi met at the Noble House meeting, Lu Jinghan. But Lu Jinghan was wearing a veil at that time, and Lin Yi didn't pay much attention to her, so he didn't have a deep impression of her. But now this was the first time Lin Yi saw this genius girl from House Lu. I wonder if there's anything special about him? At least Lin Yi couldn't tell that House Lu was still in debt. The only thing he could tell was that genius girls all liked white BMW X5M. But no matter what, Lin Yi stood up and walked out of the room. Miss Lu Jinghan? It's me, Mr. Lin Yi. Hello. Lu Jinghan locked the car and combed the messy hair on her forehead. She smiled at Lin Yi, but there was no flattery or respect. There was only respect and gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Lin Yi, for trusting us with the business. Okay, come in and talk. Lin Yi nodded and gestured for Lu Jinghan to enter the living room. Lin Yi said as they walked, since we are partners, you can call me boss like Fatty Lai or Lin Yi. It's a bit awkward to always call me Mr. Lin Yi. Boss? Lu Jinghan paused and said, then I'll call you Lin Yi. Lu Jinghan felt awkward for a girl to call someone boss. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. Then don't call me Miss Lu Jinghan. 5 words are longer than your 4. Just call me Jing Jing. Everyone in my family calls me that, Lu Jinghan said. Jing Jing. Lin Yi frowned. To be honest, he didn't like the name Lu Jinghan. In his heart, there was only one Jing Jing. She was a very important girl to Lin Yi. So Lin Yi wouldn't call anyone else by that name. I'll call you Jinghan. Lu Jinghan was also slightly taken aback, but she smiled and said, of course. They entered the living room and sat on the sofa. Lin Yi put the first-grade automatic cauldron Han Jingjing gave him on the coffee table. This is the first-grade automatic cauldron that my friend invented. Now, I'll tell you about its functions. As he spoke, Lin Yi told Lu Jinghan about the functions of the first-grade automatic cauldron, and then gave her the encrypted program little Joe had sent him as well as the plan to mass-produce the chip. I understand. With these things, whether it's House Lu or Fatty Lai, they'll be able to turn things around beautifully. Jinghan said confidently. Don't worry, Lin Yi. As long as the cauldron is mass-produced, not only will we be able to make up for our losses, but we'll also be able to make a huge profit. And I'll leave it to you. Do as you see fit. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say much. If there's nothing else, you can go back to Yanjing. Okay, then I'll go back first. I'll keep in touch if there's any news. Lu Jinghan said. After sending Lu Jinghan away, Lin Yi was slightly disappointed. Lu Jinghan and the person he wanted to see were completely different. Although they were both beautiful, they had 2 different styles. Her tone was completely different as well. It made Lin Yi lose interest in interacting with Lu Jinghan. Not long after Lu Jinghan left, another guest came to the villa. It was Su Shihan's colleague Cheng Yi. Linny didn't think that Chang Yi would come to visit Su Shihan. He was surprised. Linny, long time no see. Did you miss me? Chang Yi smiled as she walked into the living room and asked Lin Yi. Linny shrugged. This question wasn't easy to answer. If he said he missed her, it would be too ambiguous. If he said he didn't miss her, it would be too hurtful. Linny could only avoid the question. Are you here for work or just for fun? It's work. In Xiaohan's new album, there's a song that we sang together. Xiaohan has been living here for a while now, and didn't go back to the company. I had to come here personally to practice with her. Chang Yi shrugged and looked at Lin Yi with interest. By the way, Lin Yi, how did you get our Xiaohan? You actually made her come live with you. Live together. Su Shihan was getting a drink for Chang Yi. When she came back, she heard Chang Yi's question. She was shocked and almost threw the drink in her hand. You don't talk nonsense. I'm just here to visit Yao. She has something to do and has to leave. I'm here to send her off. But she already left. Then why aren't you going back? Chang Yi looked at Su Shihan mischievously. Xiaohan, it's not good for a child to lie. Especially a superstar. Su Shihan blushed. It would be a lie to say that she didn't like Lin Yi. But a good impression was a good impression. It didn't mean that she liked him. Lin Yi cured Su Shihan's headache and protected her multiple times. It was hard for Su Shihan not to like him. But Su Shihan also knew that Lin Yi had too many girlfriends. She reminded herself not to get involved. You don't talk nonsense. Lin Yi has a girlfriend. You know that. Okay, let's go upstairs and practice. Su Shihan passed the drink to Chang Yi. Okay. I just got here. I can't rest. I still need to practice with you. Chang Yi rolled her eyes helplessly. She took a sip of the drink and turned to Lin Yi. I have high hopes for you. Xiaohan doesn't get so close to guys. Thank you. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. To be honest, Lin Yi didn't have any special feelings for Su Shihan. In his eyes, Su Shihan was just a beauty that he met not long ago. He was only slightly more familiar with her than Lu Jinghan. As for going after Su Shihan, Lin Yi didn't even think about it. After all, Lin Yi wasn't a fan. He didn't have any preference for this girl who was always jumping around. The following days were uneventful. Su Shihan and Chang Yi practiced singing. Yushu went to school during the day. Lin Yi continued to condense the forging fire in his room. But amidst the uneventful days, there were two pieces of news that made Lin Yi excited. The first was that the production line for the first-grade automatic cauldron was ready. Everything was ready. All that was left was to start. Chapter 31-22. Soon, the sample of the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron was in Lin Yi's hands, and it could be put on sale immediately. At the same time, Lu Jinghan called Lin Yi to inform him of the good news. Lin Yi, do you think, if we put the product on the market now, will it attract covetous eyes from others? Although Lu Jinghan was full of confidence in the product, she was afraid that the hidden or ancient masters would not be able to bear the loneliness and want to snatch it away. High-quality updates are here. I've thought of this before, so if you want to sell it, you can cooperate with the Cultivator Trading Association. The normal version and the 5-in-1 enhanced version will be sold by our company, and the Cultivator Trading Association will be in charge of the auction of the limited edition 10-in-1 automatic medicine cauldron. Lin Yi said. And to the outside world, it will be a joint business between you and the Cultivator Trading Association. This way it can serve as a deterrent. Okay, but I don't know anyone from the Cultivator Trading Association, so I need you to help me contact them. This way we don't need to advertise and do publicity. With the Cultivator Trading Association spreading the news, it will save me some publicity costs, Lu Jinghan said. Okay, I'll contact the Cultivator Trading Association now. Lin Yi nodded. After hanging up Lu Jinghan's call, Lin Yi directly called Vice President Ouyang. Mr. Ling, how have you been? Did the Dongfang family cause you trouble? Vice President Ouyang hadn't contacted Lin Yi since he parted ways with Lin Yi last time, so he was a little worried. I didn't dare to take the initiative to call you during this period of time, but now that I heard your voice, I'm relieved. High-quality updates are here. Vice President Ouyang's true feelings touched Lin Yi. Vice President Ouyang, I'm fine. I've already killed that Dongfang hard, and the Dongfang family hasn't caused me any trouble yet. That's good. Vice President Ouyang said. Oh right. Recently, the ancient Dongfang family and the ancient Feng family have sent people to the Cultivator Trading Association to ask about you. How did you offend the ancient Feng family? That's nothing. We've had enmity for a long time. It's fine. Linny said indifferently. Vice President Ouyang. I'm calling you this time because I want to talk to you about business. Oh, business? Vice President Ouyang was slightly taken aback, then he smiled bitterly and said, Mr. Lin, as you know, the elixir business is really out of the question. Recently, the Heavenly Elixir sect has sent a large number of level 1 and level 2 elixir pills, especially the level 1 elixir pills. It won't be a problem to sell them until this time next year. Furthermore, the Heavenly Elixir sect doesn't need us to settle the accounts in cash. They just need to send the goods over and settle the accounts when they are sold. Such a good preferential policy, I really can't change anything. After all, this is a good thing for the Cultivator Trade Association to earn money. Besides, I really can't change anything. The high-quality updates are coming soon. Hee. Vice President Ouyang. The business I want to discuss with you this time is not the elixir business, but the medicine cauldron business. Linny said. Medicine cauldron? Vice President Ouyang was a little stunned after hearing it. Mr. Ling, do you mean that you have a medicine cauldron to sell? This is not a problem, but the medicine cauldron is not a bestseller. Very few people buy it. After all, this thing is not a consumable. As long as it is not a beginner, it is rare for the cauldron to explode. Hee, my medicine cauldron is different from ordinary medicine cauldrons. It can't be explained in a few words. How about this? I will go to see you now and tell you personally, said Lin Yi. How about this? Let's arrange a place. I will meet you outside. Now there are some trusted aides from the headquarters here at the Cultivator Trade Association. If you come at this time, I am afraid it will be bad for you. Vice President Ouyang thought about it and said, Okay, then let's meet at the tea house at the foot of the mountain. Linny said. At the foot of the mountain of the Cultivator Trade Association, there was a small village with a relatively large tea house. Some storytelling, crosstalk, and the like were performed all day. Linny arranged to meet at this place. Okay, then I will go over now. Vice President Ouyang said. I know the owner of the tea house. I will go and ask for a private room first. Okay, then see you later. Linny hung up the phone and rushed to the tea house near the Cultivator Trade Association's market with the mass-produced Rank 1 automatic medicine cauldron sent by Lu Jinghan. As soon as he arrived at the tea house and parked the car, a young man dressed as a disciple of the Cultivator Trade Association walked over to Lin Yi's car. Is this Mr. Ling? It's me. Lin Yi had seen this disciple beside Vice President Ouyang before. He should be Vice President Ouyang's trusted aide, so he nodded. Did Vice President Ouyang send you? Yes, the Vice President is already waiting in the private room. Mr. Ling, this way please. The disciple said and made a gesture of invitation. Lin Yi followed the disciple all the way to a private room on the second floor of the tea house. The disciple knocked on the door, then opened the door to let Lin Yi in and retreated. Obviously, he would not participate in the conversation between Lin Yi and Vice President Ouyang. Mr. Ling, you are here. Vice President Ouyang stood up with a smile and greeted Lin Yi. Vice President Ouyang, thank you for coming. Although Lin Yi was confident that after taking out the Rank 1 automatic medicine cauldron, Vice President Ouyang would be happy to cooperate with him. After all, the thing had not been taken out yet. Vice President Ouyang showed such an attitude, which made Lin Yi very touched. There is business coming to my door, so I naturally have to take the initiative. Moreover, with our current relationship, there is no need to be so polite. Mr. Ling, what is the medicine cauldron you mentioned? Vice President Ouyang waved his hand and said indifferently, It is this thing. As Lin Yi said this, he took out the Rank 1 automatic medicine cauldron from his backpack. This was a 10-in-1 limited edition auction. Lin Yi was not going to take it away today, but he planned to leave it for Vice President Ouyang to use as a promotional sample. After all, no matter how miraculous this thing was advertised, without the real thing, those ancient sects and hidden houses would probably think that it was just boasting. After all, scientific alchemy was just too unbelievable. If it wasn't for the fact that this thing really existed, those alchemists probably wouldn't have believed it. This medicine cauldron is very strange. Why is there a display on it? Vice President Ouyang asked after seeing the medicine cauldron in Lin Yi's hand. Chapter 31-23. Vice President Ouyang didn't pay much attention to it at first, but when he heard Lin Yi say that this thing could automatically refine pills, he suddenly became interested. The more he heard, the more shocked he became. This thing was simply a heaven-defying artifact. Didn't that mean that as long as one was an alchemist they could refine pills? Even alchemists without wood attributes could use this medicine cauldron to refine pills? As long as one could skillfully control the alchemy fire, they could refine a first-grade pill with a 100% success rate. This medicine cauldron could simply replace the market for first-grade pills. After all, who would buy someone else's if they could refine it themselves? No matter how cheap the first-grade pills from Heavenly Elixir sect were, the markup rate would not be low if they were resold from the Cultivators Trade Association. How could it be as economical as refining one's own? Moreover, if they refined it themselves they could refine it whenever they wanted. There was no need to worry about not being able to buy it or having no stock for an emergency. Mr. Ling, what you said, is it true? It was no wonder that Vice President Ouyang would doubt it. After all, no one would easily believe it because this thing was a little too magical. The degree of magical had exceeded the understanding of normal cultivators. Therefore, this thing was taken out by Lin Yi. Vice President Ouyang also felt that Lin Yi would not lie to him, but he still asked this question. It's absolutely true. Lin Yi nodded and said, if Vice President Ouyang doesn't believe it, you can find an alchemist to personally test it. Okay. Vice President Ouyang did not refuse because he also wanted to witness the magic of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Therefore, he took out his phone and dialed the number of the disciple who was at the door. Little Duo, give Little Kong a call and ask him to come to my room immediately. Little Kong that Vice President Ouyang spoke of. He was the alchemy examiner of the Cultivators Trade Association. The so-called alchemy examiner was a disciple who had learned alchemy and was very good at it. However, because he did not have wood attributes in his body, he could not become an alchemist. However, it was no problem for him to be an alchemy examiner responsible for checking pills. The alchemy examiner only needed to judge the quality of the pills, and Little Kong was the alchemy examiner under Vice President Ouyang. Very soon, the sound of knocking came from outside the box. Vice President Ouyang said, "Come in." A thin and weak young man walked in and said respectfully, "Vice President Ouyang, this disciple is here. May I ask why you are looking for this disciple?" "Of course there is. I want you to test something." Vice President Ouyang said, "Mr. Ling, please tell me how to use this thing. Talk to Little Kong." "Okay." Lin Yi nodded. He pointed at the first-grade automatic cauldron in front of him and said to Xiao Kong, "This is a first-grade cauldron. However, this medicinal cauldron's function is to automatically refine pills." "Automatic alchemy?" Little Kong's eyes widened. He looked in disbelief at the direction Lin Yi was pointing at. He couldn't quite believe his ears. "Mr. Ling, did I hear that right? A medicinal cauldron that can automatically refine pills?" "You didn't hear wrong." Lin Yi smiled and said, "However, although this medicinal cauldron is called an automatic medicinal cauldron, it doesn't mean that it can refine pills without human intervention. Instead, it can turn some of the steps of refining pills into automatic and increase the success rate of refining pills." As he said that, Lin Yi explained how to use the automatic first-grade medicinal cauldron to Little Kong. Little Kong was an alchemist, so he naturally understood what Lin Yi meant. His eyes flashed with eagerness. It was because his body lacked the wood attribute that he became an alchemist. One must know that without the wood attribute, no matter how good one's control of the alchemy fire was, they could only rely on luck when refining pills because they couldn't feel the changes in the medicinal cauldron. But now, the automatic first-grade medicinal cauldron that Lin Yi mentioned didn't have these requirements at all. The intensity of the alchemy fire was completely adjusted by the medicinal cauldron. There was also a time and temperature curve on the medicinal cauldron to indicate the temperature of the alchemy fire that the alchemist should use at this moment. This way, an alchemist with a little experience, or an alchemist like Little Kong, could successfully refine a first-grade pill. "Can I try it now?" Little Kong asked eagerly. Lin Yi and Vice President Ouyang wanted Little Kong to test it, And little Kong himself also wanted to try this good thing as soon as possible to fulfill his dream of becoming an alchemist. Of course, I asked you to come here to test it, Vice President Ouyang said. Then, this thing can't be broken, right? Little Kong was a little timid. Although he didn't know the value of this thing, he had been in the Cultivator Trading Association's market all year round. He knew that this was a heaven-defying artifact when he heard it. This thing must have a sky-high price. If it was broken, he couldn't afford to pay for it even if he was beaten to death. No, if you can break it easily, what value does this thing have? Linny smiled and said, You can experiment. I have a set of refining materials for the spirit-gathering pill here. You can try refining it. Oh, it's the spirit-gathering pill? Little Kong was a little surprised and timid. This spirit-gathering pill is considered a medium difficulty elixir among the first-grade elixirs. During the process, you have to change the fire several times. Is there a simple first-grade elixir such as the resurrection pill? The so-called resurrection pill was a healing elixir that was a grade lower than the small rejuvenation pill. However, because the effect was not obvious, very few alchemists would refine it. It was only used as an introduction to alchemy for disciples to refine. Even if you want to test this elixir, I don't have the materials for you to test. I only have the spirit-gathering pill in my hands, Linny said with a bitter smile. Then, I'll try it? Little Kong glanced at the medicine cauldron and asked nervously. It's okay. Try it. As long as you can control the temperature of the alchemy fire, you will definitely succeed. Linny smiled and encouraged him. Okay. Little Kong took a deep breath and then eagerly picked up the automatic first-grade medicine cauldron in front of him. He followed the instructions on it and put the materials for the spirit-gathering pill into the medicine cauldron. Then, according to the instructions on the medicine cauldron, he pressed the button for Spirit-Gathering Pill. After that, the circuit of the automatic first-grade medicine cauldron was activated. On the screen, the words Spirit-Gathering Pill Automatic Refining were displayed. Below it was a line of instructions for the alchemist to place his palm on the area to condense the alchemy fire and begin to condense the fire-type alchemy fire. Little Kong quickly followed the instructions and placed his hand on the designated area. Then, he began to condense the fire-type alchemy fire. Beep! The automatic first-grade medicine cauldron emitted a buzzing sound. On the screen, the words Fire-type alchemy fire identification normal. Automatic alchemy system starting appeared. Chapter 31-24. Then at the bottom right corner of the screen, 2 temperature prompts and a countdown timer appeared. The temperature at the front was the specified temperature, while the temperature at the back was the actual temperature. The alchemist only needed to control the actual temperature to the specified temperature within the specified countdown timer. Therefore, this first-grade automatic cauldron was quite simple and convenient to refine pills. As long as the alchemist was literate and knew how to control the alchemic fire, then adjust the alchemic fire's temperature according to the prompts, it would be fine. Even if the alchemist felt that the temperature was not correct, there would be actual prompts on the screen which would reduce the error. Xiao Kong was surprised by the intelligence of this first-grade automatic cauldron. But in his excitement, he quickly followed the prompts on the screen and quickly adjusted the alchemic fire's temperature to the same as the specified temperature. At the same time, another countdown timer appeared. Before the next pill refining prompt appears, please maintain the current temperature until the countdown ends. The next pill refining temperature will be XX degrees. Alchemist, please be prepared to change the temperature in advance. And above the countdown timer, there was such a prompt, which made it clear to the alchemist at a glance. It was very human-like. Xiao Kong had never seen such a simple pill refining method. As long as he followed the prompts and changed the alchemic fire's temperature, it would be fine. There was no need to consider the intensity of the fire, and there was no need to practice refining a certain pill in advance. As everyone knew, in order to refine a certain pill, many alchemists would waste some materials to simulate and try before refining a certain pill. A good alchemist would fail once or twice, and a weak apprentice would probably waste many attempts to find the feeling and pattern. But a first-grade automatic cauldron did not need to find the feeling, nor did it need to know the steps of pill refining. There were prompts on the screen no matter how to refine a pill. It was a completely idiotic operation. This not only shocked Xiao Kong. Even Vice President Ouyang was dumbfounded. If this thing really went on the market, one could imagine what kind of terrifying attention it would attract. When that time came, not only would the hidden aristocratic families, ordinary sects, ancient aristocratic families and ancient sects fight to buy it, even some rogue cultivators who could condense alchemic fire would come to buy it. They would also come to buy it. Vice President Ouyang had been in contact with treasures and artifacts all year round. Naturally, he knew how powerful this first-grade automatic cauldron was. This kind of thing brought endless profits and influence. Now, the only thing left to do was to see if the first-grade automatic cauldron could successfully refine elixirs. Vice President Ouyang was very nervous. In fact, Linny was also very nervous. Although Linny trusted Han Jingjing and knew that this first-grade automatic cauldron should not have any problems, Linny could not personally experiment. Linny could not change the temperature of the alchemy fire. This first-grade automatic medicine cauldron was useless to Linny. Therefore, Linny asked Vice President Ouyang to find a disciple to experiment on. Time ticked by. Finally, a notification appeared on the LCD screen of the medicine cauldron. The spirit-gathering pill has been successfully refined. Please stop condensing the pill fire and open the cauldron. Take out the pill. That's it? Little Kong was a little surprised. Although he strictly followed the instructions on the cauldron screen along the way, he did not have much confidence in himself. After all, he was an alchemy tester, not an alchemy master, and he had not been in contact with alchemy for a long time. Even when he had just started learning alchemy, it was impossible to successfully refine the spirit-gathering pill, let alone now. However, Little Kong still opened the lid of the medicine cauldron as instructed. Suddenly, a medicinal fragrance came from the medicine cauldron and filled the entire room. Everyone present, whether it was Linny, Vice President Ouyang, or Little Kong, were not stupid. Only when the pill was successfully refined and the medicine cauldron was opened would there be a fragrance. If the refinement failed, there would be a burnt smell. It actually succeeded. Vice President Ouyang's eyes widened. He looked at the medicine cauldron in Little Kong's hands and was very excited. This pill was refined under his nose using his own disciple. It was impossible for there to be a trace of fraud. Therefore, the only explanation was that this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron was worthy of its name. Pill Halo. There's actually Pill Halo on a first-grade elixir? Little Kong carefully took out the spirit-gathering pill from the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. However, when the elixir was in his hand, he let out a cry of surprise. How is this possible? Why is it not possible? What's the fuss about Pill Halo? All the elixirs that Mr. Ling provided in the past had Pill Halo. Vice President Ouyang said and felt that something was wrong. What? You're saying that this automatically refined elixir also has Pill Halo? Yes, Vice President, look. As he spoke, Little Kong showed the elixir in his hand to Vice President Ouyang. As expected, it's Pill Halo. Moreover, the color and roundness of this elixir can be said to be of the highest quality. Vice President Ouyang was very shocked. Although the quality of the first-grade elixir provided by Kong Mingming was mostly the same, it was refined by a high-level alchemist from the Heavenly Elixir sect. How could it be compared to an ordinary disciple like Little Kong? This was all the credit of the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Thinking of this, Vice President Ouyang wanted to pick up the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron in front of him and kiss it. He exclaimed, "It's an artifact." However, with Linny present, Vice President Ouyang could only restrain himself no matter how excited he was. He asked Linny in disbelief, "Mr. Ling, have you really decided to give this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron to the Cultivators Trade Association? What kind of price do we have to pay?" Vice President Ouyang, I think you've misunderstood. I brought this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron because I want to cooperate with you. Cooperation is a win-win situation. You don't have to pay any price. Linny smiled and said, "You can auction it normally and take a cut." To be honest, Mr. Ling, even if we don't take a cut, if this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron is auctioned here, it can also bring unimaginable fame and popularity to the Cultivators Trade Association. Therefore, we're auctioning it for free. Logically speaking, we still have to pay some price. Vice President Ouyang said with a sigh. However, Mr. Ling, we're not strangers. Since you said so, I won't refuse. That's for sure. The Cultivators Trade Association isn't solely decided by you, Vice President Ouyang. However, with the credit of our long-term cooperation, I think promotion won't be a problem. This was also what Lin Yi valued. The higher Vice President Ouyang's position, the more advantageous it was for Lin Yi. Chapter 31-25. After all, most of Lin Yi's underlings were in the hidden plane. No matter how high the level of heaven and earth treasures were, it was impossible for them to get their hands on them. Moreover, Lin Yi had not reached the level where he could completely control the ancient plane. Even if he had a few underlings, it was only a personal relationship. Their families would not support him fully. Therefore, Lin Yi chose to cooperate with Vice President Ouyang and gave up a portion of the profits. Of course, more importantly, the Cultivator Trade Association was participating in this business, so it was impossible for any rascals to covet it. Moreover, Lin Yi and Vice President Ouyang were life-and-death buddies. He was a worthy friend, so Lin Yi was not stingy with these things. Haha, Mr. Ling, since that's the case, I won't hold back. May I ask, how do we cooperate? Vice President Ouyang was not pretentious. He nodded and asked directly. My company produces 3 different types of cauldrons. One is the first-grade automatic cauldron single-in-one edition, another is the 5-in-1 edition, and the last one is the 10-in-1 edition of the first-grade automatic cauldron in front of you, Vice President Ouyang. Lin Yi said. The first 2 are sold by our company, while the last one is handed over to the Cultivator Trade Association where Vice President Ouyang is at to auction. For the first 2 types, there are 5 types of first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons in a single version, which is the same as the 5-in-1 version of a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. However, the one you have here has added 5 types of elixirs that our company doesn't have. This. Vice President Ouyang originally heard that Lin Yi's company also had sales, and he was a little disappointed. What was the difference between 10-in-1 and 5-in-1? Wouldn't it be fine to just buy 2 5-in-1 versions or 10 single versions? In that case, who would buy from him? However, Lin Yi had said that Lin Yi's company only sold Tier 1 automatic medicinal cauldrons for 5 types of elixirs. Whether it was a 5-in-1 or a single version, if one wanted to buy a Tier 1 automatic medicinal cauldron for the other 5 types of elixirs, he could only come to the Cultivator Trade Association. Thinking of this, Vice President Ouyang also understood what Lin Yi meant. He could not help but give a thumbs up. Brilliant, really brilliant. Our auctions here are not held at any time. We have to prepare for a period of time in advance. During this period of time, we can only advertise. But what if the cultivators who see the advertisement are eager to buy? He could only purchase the simple 5-in-1 or single-in-1 edition from Mr. Ling for emergencies. He wanted a 10-in-1 limited edition with complete functions. You can only wait to buy it from us. This way they could maximize their profits. Mr. Ling, you're really made for doing business. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. This wasn't his idea, it was Yushu and Han Jingjing's. What does this have to do with me? But at this time he could only smile and nod. Furthermore, in order to be fair and to prevent people from secretly changing hands, the first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons sold have a master recognition function. When an alchemist refines pills for the first time, it will lock onto the alchemist's pill fire parameters. It's impossible. No way. It even has a binding function? Vice President Ouyang was stunned. Then he gave a thumbs up. Mr. Ling, your business is really amazing. This way, if a sect has 2 alchemists, they can only buy 2. If there are more than 1 disciple, they have to buy more. It's really difficult not to earn money. Hee. Lin Yi smiled. However, this sample that I gave you doesn't recognize the owner. Anyone can test it. And it's also convenient for Vice President Ouyang to advertise. Of course, this thing can't be sold. Vice President Ouyang, you should know this. Don't worry, Mr. Ling, I will definitely keep it safe. It's impossible to snatch something from the hands of our Cultivator Trade Association. Vice President Ouyang patted his chest and guaranteed. Lin Yi believed Vice President Ouyang's words. After all, there were so many heaven and earth treasures in the Cultivator Trade Association that people coveted. If they really snatched it, then the Cultivator Trade Association didn't need to exist anymore. Thinking of this, Linny couldn't help but be curious about the background behind the Cultivator Trade Association. So many ancient sects, even the Five Elements sect where Elder Xianchen was, didn't have any ideas about the Cultivator Trade Association. The power behind the Cultivator Trade Association probably couldn't be underestimated. This was also the reason why Lin Yi and Vice President Ouyang were on good terms. Moreover, Lin Yi vaguely knew that there was a backer behind Vice President Ouyang, who was the higher-ups of the Cultivator Trade Association. As long as these relationships were properly managed, they would become Lin Yi's help in setting foot on the ancient level. That's good. I'm still very assured about Vice President Ouyang. Lin Yi smiled. Mr. Ling, since our relationship is so close, you don't have to call me Vice President Ouyang. I'm a few decades older. If you don't mind, you can call me Brother Ouyang. Vice President Ouyang smiled. However, Vice President Ouyang's words almost made Lin Yi burst out laughing. A few decades older? Most people would say that a few years older and then call him brother. But when it came to Vice President Ouyang, it became a few decades older. However, this was also a normal phenomenon in the cultivation world. Vice President Ouyang was only in his early 40s. According to the seniority of the cultivators, he was still an upright young man. Excluding the disciples of those ancient families and ancient sects, there could be a heaven stage master in their teens. Vice President Ouyang, a heaven stage master in his 40s, was already very young. Therefore, there was no problem at all for Lin Yi to call him Brother Ouyang. Moreover, Lin Yi was also a heaven stage master. All right, then I'll call you Brother Ouyang. Lin Yi nodded and said, however, since it's a sincere cooperation, then I'll also tell Brother Ouyang my real name. Ling Yi is actually just an alias I use outside. My real name is Lin Yi. What? You are Lin Yi? When Vice President Ouyang heard the name Lin Yi, he couldn't help but tremble. He pointed at Lin Yi and said in disbelief, Ling Yi. Lin Yi, no wonder. Brother Ouyang, why do you have such an expression? Is there a problem? Lin Yi looked at Vice President Ouyang strangely and said, actually, I didn't mean to deceive Brother Ouyang. During the trial, I always used the name Ling Yi. I know that. It's nothing. Vice President Ouyang waved his hand. Obviously, he didn't care about Lin Yi's alias. Instead, he said in shock, you're the legendary rogue cultivator who trampled on the everyday and everyday sect until they couldn't fight back? It seems so. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. But I'm not a rogue cultivator. I only fought with a disciple. Chapter 31:26. I've heard a lot about you. Ouyang wasn't being polite, it was the truth. He'd heard about Lin Yi's fight with Zhang Naipeo. After all these years, there wasn't a single person in the world who could make the everyday and everyday sects suffer a loss. Other than the two legends from a decade ago, the Killer Kong twin, who else could do that? Even Vice President Ouyang didn't dare to provoke the disciples of the everyday and everyday sect. It wasn't that the Cultivator Trade Association was afraid of them, but if Vice President Ouyang provoked them, the Cultivator Trade Association wouldn't stand up for him. After all, old ancestor Mad Bull of the everyday and everyday sect was friends with the Cultivator Trade Association's Grand Elder Honorary President. Brother Lin, I didn't think that the legend was you. Vice President Ouyang had suffered a loss at the hands of the everyday and everyday sect's disciples in his early years. When he was young, he participated in a trial organized by the Cultivator Trade Association and fought with the Purine Heavenly Venerable of the everyday and everyday sect. If it weren't for the elder of the second vice president, the Purine Heavenly Venerable wouldn't dare to kill him, then Vice President Ouyang might not have returned alive. And so towards Lin Yi, who could defeat the disciples of the everyday and everyday sect, Ouyang respected him very much. He called Lin Yi Brother Lin. Why do you call me Brother Lin? Lin Yi paused. We're both practitioners, and those who reach the top of the martial path take precedence. You call me Brother Ouyang, and I call you Brother Lin. It's normal since we're both Sky Class Masters. Ouyang said matter-of-factly. Lin Yi nodded, not bothering with the terms of address. He asked curiously, Brother Ouyang, it seems like you have a grudge against the everyday and everyday sect? Ah, that's right. I won't hide it from you, Brother Lin. I once fought with the Purine Heavenly Lord of the everyday and everyday sect in the Cultivator Association's trial, and I lost miserably. If it wasn't for the fact that I was an elder in the Grand Supreme Elder Council, and the purine heavenly lord didn't dare to touch me, I would have died a horrible death, Vice President Ouyang said with emotion. So, Brother Lin really helped me vent my anger. The Cultivator Trade Association's trial? What is that? Linny was slightly stunned and asked. Oh, you actually don't know? Vice President Ouyang looked at Linny with some surprise. This is a trial that all the disciples of the ancient times know about. Oh, that's right, you're a loose cultivator. That's right. What is this trial for? Linny asked curiously. After all, every trial was more or less a fortuitous encounter for the trial takers, and it was very likely that they would obtain unimaginable benefits. Just like the trials of the Ice Palace and the Heavenly Elixir School that Linny had participated in, they were all the same. The location of this trial is called Primordial Island. Vice President Ouyang didn't hide anything and directly introduced Primordial Island. It is the only relic left in the entire ancient level that can be discovered. I also don't know how the Cultivator Trade Association found it in the first place, and they also know how to open this Primordial Island and enter the trial of Primordial Island. You can search for the treasures that you need. There are many precious herbs and some treasures left from the ancient era. As long as you find it, it will be yours. Of course, others can also snatch it, and when you come out, you need to pay. Pay? You can get these things just by buying them with money? Linny was slightly stunned. Isn't that a sky-high price? It's not like that. Vice President Ouyang smiled slightly and said, It's true that it's very expensive, but our Cultivator Trade Association is a business. Our goal is to make money, so there are specialized elders to evaluate the value of the things that the trial takers bring out from Primordial Island, but there definitely won't be any heaven-defying price. After all, the Cultivator Trade Association's reputation is there. Linny nodded and then reacted. The Cultivator Trade Association was an organization that sought money, so it was understandable that they used this trial to make money. However, what made Linny feel strange was where did this Primordial Island come from? But Vice President Ouyang obviously didn't know about these things, so Linny naturally wouldn't ask. He just asked, Will this trial start soon? This trial is held irregularly, so there isn't much time. After all, to open the Primordial Island, there are many conditions such as the right time, the right place, and the right people. It can't be opened at any time. Vice President Ouyang said, In our Cultivator Trade Association, there are people who are responsible for studying the Primordial Island. They will infer the approximate opening time based on some of the phenomena on the Primordial Island, and then organize the trial takers to register. So it's like this. Linny nodded and said, Is there any limit to the registration? Can I go too? Of course. The condition is that all Heaven Stage experts can participate. Brother Lin has already met this requirement. You only need to pay the entrance fee of 1 billion yuan. Vice President Ouyang said. Cough, cough, cough. After Linny heard Vice President Ouyang's words, he suddenly coughed loudly. I say, Brother Ouyang, did I hear wrong? 1 billion. And it's just the entrance fee? You didn't hear wrong. Vice President Ouyang smiled bitterly and said, I've said it before. The Cultivator Trade Association won't quote any heaven-defying price that people can't accept, but it definitely won't be cheap. It really isn't cheap. Linny also smiled bitterly and said with emotion, This 1 billion, at least for now, I can't take it out. Haha, but with this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron in your hands, I believe this money is not a problem for Brother Lin. Vice President Ouyang said with a smile. Why, Brother Lin is very interested in this trial. According to what Brother Ouyang said, there are so many good things in it. I think any cultivator will be interested, right? Linny nodded and asked. When was the last time it was held? 25 years ago. According to the time calculation, it should be around the same time. The opening time of this Primordial Island is generally between 20 to 30 years. Vice President Ouyang said. 25 years ago? At that time, Brother Ouyang was already a Heaven Stage expert? And now? Linny looked at Vice President Ouyang with a strange look and asked curiously. It was no wonder that Linny would feel strange. Because 25 years ago, Vice President Ouyang was already a Heaven Stage, then he was only at the peak of the early stage of Heaven Stage? This was a bit unrealistic, right? Chapter 31:27. Haha, I knew Brother Lin would ask this. I won't hide it from you. Because of my elder in the Supreme Elder Council, I was also nurtured as an important disciple of the Cultivator Trade Association. I was only 19 or 20 years old at the time, which is Brother Lin's age, but I was already a heaven-rank early-stage expert. Speaking of this, Vice President Ouyang was a little proud. However, when he recalled that Linny was also in the heaven-rank early stage, he could only smile bitterly. Brother Lin is now a rogue cultivator. There's a world of difference between us and sect disciples. To be able to become a heaven-rank early-stage expert at Brother Lin's age proves that Brother Lin is extraordinary. Linny waved his hand, indicating for Vice President Ouyang to stop praising him. Brother Ouyang, let's talk about yourself. Alright. Back when I participated in the Cultivator Trade Association's trial, I won't talk about the details. During the trial, the Purine Heavenly Venerable of the Everyday and Everyday sect injured me. Although he spared my life, he injured my meridians. This is also the reason why I haven't made much progress in the past few years. Until now, my meridians haven't healed, and my name has been removed from the Cultivator Trade Association's list of key disciples to be nurtured. If it wasn't for my elder who helped me get some elixirs from time to time, I wouldn't have been able to recover from my injuries, let alone become a heaven-rank early-stage expert. Vice President Ouyang said emotionally. Although I have an irreconcilable hatred with the Purine Heavenly Venerable, I am no longer his match. I heard that the Purine Heavenly Venerable is in seclusion to reach the peak of the heaven-rank late stage. Although he might not succeed due to his age and experience, even if he fails, I can only look up to him. He is also an existence that I can only look up to now. It is impossible for me to take revenge now. And as I said, the Everyday and Everyday sect is related to the Cultivator Trade Association's Supreme Elder Honorary President. It's impossible for the Cultivator Trade Association to stand up for me. Even my elder can't do it. If I want to seek revenge, I have to do it myself. After all, this is a grudge formed during the trial. We can't break the rules. Vice President Ouyang's words made Linny nod his head. It seemed that it would be very difficult to take revenge for him. Brother Ouyang, my condolences. Linny did not know how to comfort him. It's okay, I've already thought it through. I can't take revenge on my own. But if there's a day when someone can help me take revenge, I'll do it for you. I will definitely recognize that person as my master. I will always be at his beck and call to repay him. Vice President Ouyang said. Take revenge personally? Why can't I? Linny asked back. My meridians. His injuries were severe. Although he had mostly recovered after years of recuperation, he was still unable to fully recover. However, there were some that could not be recovered unless the old injuries of these meridians were completely healed. I can directly advance to the mid-stage of the heaven rank and continue to cultivate. Otherwise, this would be the limit of my strength. Vice President Ouyang shook his head and helplessly said, Xiaokong, you go out first. I have something to say to Vice President Ouyang. Linny waved his hand to the pill tester disciple and said. However, Xiaokong was engrossed in studying the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. He turned a deaf ear to Lin Yi's words as if he didn't hear it at all. Linny couldn't help but smile bitterly. He had underestimated the attraction of such a divine tool to an alchemist. But this was also a good thing. One could imagine what kind of sales frenzy this medicinal cauldron would cause after it went on the market. Xiaokong, you go out first. I have something to talk to Brother Lin. Vice President Ouyang reprimanded. Although this Xiaokong was also his confidant, otherwise he wouldn't be allowed to test this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. However, Vice President Ouyang also knew that what Linny was going to say next was probably confidential. He couldn't let Xiaokong know. Ah! Xiaokong was awakened by the sudden shout and looked at Vice President Ouyang blankly. Vice President, what's wrong? You go out first. I have something to talk to Brother Lin. Vice President Ouyang said. Yes. Although Xiaokong nodded, his eyes were still lingering on the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron on the table. He was a little reluctant to part with it. You take it out to study it. Linny waved his hand. You take it out to study it. Linny waved his hand and said indifferently, the disciple from before is also a master at the peak of the late phase of Earth class. Here, there shouldn't be anyone who would dare to repair the Cultivator Trade Association's things, right? Of course not. Vice President Ouyang said. No one has ever dared to anger the Cultivator Trade Association. Mr. Ling, you can rest assured. Xiao Kong, why aren't you thanking Mr. Ling? Thank you, Mr. Ling. Xiao Kong held the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron and couldn't bear to let it go. Once he picked it up, he didn't want to put it down. After all, this was a treasure that could make him an excellent first-grade alchemist. It seemed that he didn't hear Lin Yi's words at all. He didn't know that Lin Yi's surname was Lin. He thought that his surname was Ling. Brother Ouyang, I think this medicinal cauldron should be looked after by Xiao Kong in the future. When the time comes, let him be responsible for the demonstration. Lin Yi said faintly. Ah. Xiao Kong was stunned. In this way, this medicinal cauldron would be almost the same as his personal property. He was at a loss for what to do. Xiao Kong, why aren't you thanking Mr. Lin? Vice President Ouyang said quickly. Thank you, Mr. Ling. Xiao Kong thanked him with inexplicable joy. Vice President Ouyang was too lazy to correct Xiao Kong's slip of the tongue. He waved his hand, indicating that he could leave. After Xiao Kong left happily, only Lin Yi and Vice President Ouyang were left in the room. Vice President Ouyang said, Brother Lin, you can say it now. I can cure your injury. Lin Yi's words were shocking. As soon as he said it, Vice President Ouyang was shocked. You can cure it? How is this possible? I am injured because my meridians are broken. Not in other aspects. Unless there is the legendary 4th grade Great Huan Dan, but that is a legendary existence. Vice President Ouyang asked with some shock and confusion. I don't have the 4th grade Great Huan Dan, but I have a way to cure your injury. Lin Yi said. But this matter, please keep it a secret, Brother Ouyang. Of course. Although Vice President Ouyang was shocked after listening to Lin Yi's words, he still nodded and said, I will definitely keep it a secret, but what method do you have to cure the injured meridians? You just don't move. As Lin Yi said this, he reached out and grabbed the pulse of Vice President Ouyang's wrist. This made Vice President Ouyang suddenly shocked. If he didn't know that Lin Yi wouldn't harm him, and even if Lin Yi wanted to harm him, he wouldn't have the strength to resist. He would really be scared to death. Chapter 31:28. Okay. Vice President Ouyang understood that Lin Yi couldn't harm him, so he calmed down a lot and nodded. Although he felt very strange, he still sat in his seat without moving. Lin Yi ran the first level of the Art of Dragon Mastery and began to repair the meridians for Vice President Ouyang. Even though Lin Yi and Vice President Ouyang's relationship was very good now, Lin Yi still had some reservations. After all, the two hadn't been in contact for too long. Even if Lin Yi trusted him, he still had some trump cards. The first and third level of the Art of Dragon Mastery could repair injured meridians, but the speed of repair was different. But even so, Vice President Ouyang's face quickly showed an extremely shocked expression because he could feel that the meridians in his body were recovering at an incredible speed. He wanted to ask Lin Yi why it was so magical, but he suddenly remembered that Lin Yi told him not to move. So when the words were on the tip of his tongue, Vice President Ouyang took it back and silently waited here for Lin Yi's treatment to end. 3 hours passed in a flash. In fact, not most of the meridians in Vice President Ouyang's body were damaged. Only a small part was damaged. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the strength he had now. It was just that these 3 hours were extended by Lin Yi. If he used the third level of the Art of Dragon Mastery to repair it, it would be a matter of 10 minutes. It's done. Lin Yi pretended to be very weak as he pulled his hand back from Ouyang's body, letting out a breath of turbid air. Although Lin Yi was very relaxed, he still had to put up a front. This was also to let Ouyang feel indebted. Sure enough, Vice President Ouyang didn't have time to be shocked and happy. Looking at Lin Yi's weak appearance, he quickly asked, Brother Lin, how are you? Do you need to replenish your physical strength now? Let's talk about it later. I'll rest for a while. Lin Yi waved his hand and pretended to close his eyes to rest. After resting for a while, he said, Brother Ouyang, how do you feel? Good, very good. Brother Lin, I don't know how to thank you, but as long as my meridians are repaired, I will be able to break through to the mid-stage of heaven rank in 2 days. Vice President Ouyang said, Brother Lin, I finally understand what you mean by taking revenge by myself, but it's not that I don't have confidence. Instead, he had delayed for too long. It was almost impossible for him to catch up to the purine heavenly venerate. But recovering my meridians is also a good thing for me. As long as I can smoothly advance to the late stage of the heaven rank in the next few years, I might be able to obtain the unique cultivation resources of the Cultivator Trade Association and reach the peak of the late stage of the heaven rank. That way, I would have the opportunity to set foot on Heaven Island. At that time, between me and Heavenly Venerate Purine, who will ascend to the Heavenly Tao first? That will be my only chance. Otherwise, it would be practically unrealistic for me to seek revenge under the Heavenly Tao. Linny nodded non-committally. Vice President Ouyang was right. He was very wise. He didn't have the ability to fight above his level, so even if he was also a peak of the late stage of the heaven rank, Purine Heavenly Venerate would have long been a famous peak of the late stage of the heaven rank. There was no comparison between the two at all. If there's a chance, I'll help you take revenge. In any case, there was no need to write a promise. Linny casually promised. After all, Linny currently had a grudge against the Everyday and Everyday sect. Thank you very much. Vice President Ouyang didn't take it seriously. Although Linny could fight above his level, he was still far from being able to kill Purine Heavenly Venerate. Mr. Lin I Ouyang will remember today's kindness. If there's anything you need me to do, Ouyang will not hesitate. He well said. Linny smiled and didn't say much. However, what Linny didn't know was that Vice President Ouyang's meridians were healed. Coupled with the great merit of this automatic medicine cauldron, under the push of the elder behind him, Vice President Ouyang was once again designated as a key disciple of the Cultivator Trading Association. Brother Lin, I can't thank you enough. I'll go back now and start the publicity campaign for this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. But you have to tell me, if they can't wait to buy a single version of the medicine cauldron or a 5-in-1 medicine cauldron, where do they need to go to buy it? Vice President Ouyang asked. Secular Liu family. This is my person. I'll let her contact you when the time comes. Linny said. Okay. Vice President Ouyang nodded. Then I'll go first. We'll exchange information if there's any news. After settling this matter, Linny immediately told Liu Jinghan the news. After all, with the protection of the Cultivator Trading Association, Liu Jinghan wasn't afraid of some people with bad intentions. Vice President Ouyang wasn't idle either. After he returned to his office, the first thing he did was to call the elder behind him. Little Nong, what's the matter? A deep male voice came from the other side of the phone. This was the elder of Vice President Ouyang's honorary president number 2. Second Grandpa, I have an important matter to report to you. Vice President Ouyang's name was Ouyang Nong, but he had almost forgotten about this name. Only his second grandfather called him by this name. The others, even the honorable president, called him Vice President Ouyang in a professional manner. Oh? What's the matter? The honorary president number 2 was called Ouyang Chuanqi, and he was indeed a legend. The Cultivator Trading Association's Elders Council almost didn't allow outsiders to join. In other words, other than the internal core disciples who could rise to the level of the Elders Council, the other disciples, no matter how outstanding they were, could only become the president of the Cultivator Trading Association. It was impossible for them to improve further. As for Ouyang Chuanqi, he was just an ordinary disciple. During a trial on the Primordial Island, it was said that he was valued by a high-level member of the Cultivator Trading Association and was accepted as a disciple. Since then he had a meteoric rise. Not only did he become a peak late-stage heaven rank expert, but he also sat on the position of the honorary president number 2. One had to know that there were only 3 honorary presidents. The others were all elders. It could be said that Ouyang Chuanqi was indeed a legend. Ouyang Chuanqi had no children. The only outstanding one in the Ouyang family was Ouyang Nong. Therefore, he had been carefully training Ouyang Nong to be his successor. However, he didn't expect that Ouyang Nong would have a bad start in the trial and be seriously injured by the Purine Heavenly Master, a disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect. Chapter 31-29. Although Ouyang Chuanqi used all his means and resources to find some treasures for Ouyang Nong, his injuries were never fully recovered. His cultivation strength was also stuck at the peak of the early stage of heaven rank, and there was no advancement. However, Ouyang Chuanqi wouldn't say it on the surface. If he said it, Ouyang Nong's heart would be even worse. Second grandpa, I'm fine. Ouyang Nong could deceive others, but he didn't dare to hide anything from his second grandpa who was closer to him than his own grandfather. Fine? What do you mean? What do you mean? Ouyang Chuanqi asked curiously. Second grandpa, my meridians are fine. Ouyang Nong said excitedly. My injured meridians have healed, and I have touched the barrier of advancement. In these 2 days I can break through to the middle stage of heaven rank. Oh, your meridians are fine? How are they fine? What kind of adventure did you have? Ouyang Chuanqi was shocked. Logically, he couldn't do anything about Ouyang Nong's meridians, unless the people inside came out. However, although Ouyang Nong was excellent, he didn't deserve their special care, so Ouyang Chuanqi was really surprised. Yes, second grandpa, I had an adventure. Someone helped me heal my meridians, but I can't disclose the details. I can't break my promise. Although I know that second grandpa will keep it a secret for me, this is a matter of principle. We businessmen value trust. This is the most basic character. Ouyang Nong said. Okay, I understand. I won't ask, but this is a good thing anyway. Ouyang Chuanqi said. I can help you cover it up. Just say that I found some treasures. After you took them, you were healed. And I have to report your recovery. If you advance to the mid-heaven rank, I'll be able to protect you. If you advance to the middle stage of heaven rank, I can consider letting you be more responsible for the Cultivator Trading Association. More responsible? There's no need. Ouyang Nong smiled bitterly and said, Now I'm afraid I'm too busy. What do you mean? How busy can a person in charge of a marketplace be? Ouyang Chuanqi's tone changed and he was a little unhappy. Ouyang Nong, have you been idle for too many years after you were injured, and you don't want to improve? Since you have recovered your meridians, your end is definitely not just a vice president. Second grandpa, you've misunderstood me. Ouyang Nong hurriedly explained. I mean, there's something more important for me to do now. I may not be able to be distracted by other things. Oh? What important thing? Ouyang Chuanqi asked. It's like this. Ouyang Nong told Ouyang Chuanqi about the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron, including the cooperation with Lin Yi and so on. Ouyang Chuanqi was able to struggle from a grassroots disciple to the second supreme honorary president. Naturally, he was not a simple person. As soon as he heard about this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron, his eyes immediately turned green. Ouyang Nong, this thing you said, is it real or fake? Why does it sound so unbelievable? Did you see the real thing? I saw it. Not only did I see the real thing, I even had my pill examiner personally test it. The pill was successfully refined in one go. Not only is it full of color, but it also has a pill halo. It can be said that ordinary alchemists can't reach this level. Ouyang Nong said with a wry smile. To be honest, he also had such concerns at the beginning. After all, this thing was a bit too fantastical, but after seeing it with his own eyes, he knew that this thing was really so magical. Oh my God! Ouyang Chuanqi was astute. He exclaimed in shock. What did this thing represent? Ouyang Nong knew, and Ouyang Chuanqi naturally knew even more. No wonder Ouyang Nong said that there was no time. It turned out to be because of this thing. However, Ouyang Chuanqi suddenly thought of something. He slapped his forehead and said, Xiao Nong, bring that first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to me as soon as possible. I'm going to look for the supreme honorary president now. Once this medicinal cauldron comes out, it will inevitably cause a stagnant sales of first-grade medicinal pills. In this way, we must stop receiving first-grade medicinal pills from the Heavenly Elixir sect. Although the Heavenly Elixir sect came over for free, the Cultivator Trading Association was embarrassed to let them continue to send medicinal pills over endlessly. Chapter 3130. Remember, you didn't call me today. I didn't know about the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. You can bring the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to me, and President 3 days later. I will pretend that I didn't know about it beforehand. Ouyang Chuanqi said. Okay, second grandpa, I understand. Ouyang Nong said solemnly. After hanging up the phone, Ouyang Chuanqi directly dialed Kong Mingming's phone. President Ouyang, hello? What's the matter? Kong Mingming received a call from Ouyang Chuanqi and asked in fear and trepidation. It's nothing. I just wanted to tell you that the first-grade medicinal pills are quite popular recently. If you still have some, send some to me. I'm afraid that the stock isn't enough to sell. Ouyang Chuanqi said casually. I don't have any in stock, but President Ouyang can rest assured that I can refine it very quickly. I will ask someone to refine it, and it will be delivered soon. Kong Mingming said quickly. Oh, then you have to hurry. If there's no stock here, then we'll have to buy from other sources. After all, we, the Practitioners Trading Association, can't say no to money. Ouyang Chuanqi said casually, but it shocked Kong Xiaoming. If Ouyang Chuanqi really imported from other sources, then wouldn't Kong Mingming and old ancestor Xuanqin's efforts be in vain? At the end of the day, Lin Yi was only one person, and he didn't have many elixirs in his hands. The Practitioners Trading Association would be able to take all of them in one go, and Kong Xiaoming wouldn't even be able to cry if that happened. Don't worry, President Ouyang. We will work overnight to process a large batch of first-grade medicinal pills and send them to you. Kong Mingming was scared and said quickly. That's good. Then I will wait for you. Ouyang Chuanqi said. I will give you 3 days. 3 days, that's enough. Kong Mingming suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Ouyang Chuanqi hung up the phone, and a sneer flashed across his mouth. He valued Ouyang Nong very much. He was now a person with one foot in the heavenly Tao. Before the opportunity of the Heaven Step Island arrived, he had no other pursuits. His only thought was on Ouyang Nong. Ouyang Nong's injury was an eternal pain in his heart. Now that he had recovered, he was very happy. Therefore, he was extremely grateful to Ouyang Nong's benefactor. As long as he could do it, he would not refuse. Setting up the Heavenly Elixir sect in the dark without affecting the overall interests of the Cultivator Trading Association, Ouyang Chuanqi agreed. As for Kong Xiaoming, he hung up the phone. After that, the entire sect mobilized. Be it the disciples of the Five Elements sect or the Heavenly Elixir sect, as long as they were free, they began to refine a large number of first-grade elixirs. This time, Kong Mingming and Patriarch Xianqin had gone all out. He took out almost all the liquid funds of the Five Elements sect and bought the materials for the first-grade pills. It wasn't that the Patriarch of the Xianqin world was foolish and easily deceived, but it was mainly because in his opinion, the Patriarch of the Xianqin world was a fool. After all, the spirit-gathering pill was a very popular pill among the hidden aristocratic families, normal sects, and even ancient sections. They were all in short supply, so it was impossible to make a loss when refining pills, no matter how shrewd Patriarch Xianqin was. It was also impossible for him to imagine the existence of something as heaven-defying as a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Such a thing simply did not exist in his mind. Therefore, Patriarch Xianqin didn't think too much about it. He directly ordered Kong Mingming to find someone to refine a large number of first-grade pills. It didn't matter if he couldn't sell them for the time being, as long as he could stop Lin Yi from selling them. Lin Yi's pills were all gone, and the first-grade pills of the Heavenly Elixir sect could be sold for 3 to 5 years. They would eventually be sold out. It was very difficult for other ancient sects and hidden aristocratic families to refine a first-grade pill. Even if they could refine it, the success rate was very low. However, for the disciples of the Five Elements sect and the Heavenly Elixir sect, it was a piece of cake. Their refining speed was also very fast. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Kong Mingming had also led people to refine tens of thousands of first-grade pills, using up all the liquid funds of the Five Elements sect. Haha, father-in-law, let's see if Lin Yi will die this time. With so many first-grade pills, it's enough to sell for 3 to 5 years. We're not in a hurry. Let's let the Cultivator Trade Association sell them slowly and suffocate Lin Yi to death. Kong Mingming said excitedly as he looked at the medicine boxes piled up like a small mountain in front of him. All right, bring some people to send these pills to the Cultivator Trade Association now. Patriarch Xianqin nodded and said, Yes, father-in-law, I'll send it right away. Kong Mingming quickly nodded and said yes. This was a good opportunity to show his face. If he could interact with the Cultivator Trade Association more, he would be able to gain a firm foothold in the Five Elements sect and the Heavenly Elixir sect and become the new generation's leader. Kong Mingming brought 2 disciples and rushed to the Cultivator Trade Association excitedly. He met the Great Elder Honorary President, Shan Jiutian, and the Second Elder Honorary President, Ouyang Chuanqi. Kong Mingming of the Heavenly Elixir Sect greets President Shan and President Ouyang. Kong Mingming said respectfully, "In Elder Kong, you've worked hard." President Shan nodded and gestured for Kong Mingming to sit down and talk. "Your Heavenly Elixir Sex pills are selling very well, but why did you bring so many this time?" Kong Mingming naturally couldn't say that it was to replace Lin Yi's market. If he said it, President Shan might not know who Lin Yi was. Besides, this kind of private hatred couldn't be said in public. So, Kong Mingming just smiled and said, "Haha, the disciples in the sect have nothing to do recently, so I let them practice alchemy. So, we refined a little more, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, the pills are consumables. They won't spoil because of storage for a long time, so we can sell them slowly. We are not in a hurry to get money." Although refining these elixirs had almost used up the 5 Elements Sect's liquid funds, Kong Xiaoming wasn't worried. After all, the elixirs in the Cultivator Trade Association were sold every day. In a month or so, they would be able to get back a sum of money, which was enough to cover their expenses. "That's true." President Shen nodded, then said to Ouyang Chuanqi, "President Ouyang, you are in charge of the inspection of the pills. You can ask Elder Kang's people to send the pills to the warehouse and check them." "Okay, President Shen." Ouyang Chuanqi nodded and was about to get up. At this time, a disciple of the Cultivator Trade Association walked in. Reporting to President Shen, "President Ouyang, Vice President Ouyang Nong is here to see you." The disciple was obviously President Shen's confidant, so he didn't avoid such an occasion and came in directly. Chapter 31-31. Oh. President Shen wanted to finish the matter at hand before summoning Ouyang Nong. However, Ouyang Nong wasn't like others. He was Ouyang Chuanqi's grandson. Hence, President Shen gave Ouyang Chuanqi face and said to the disciple, "Okay, let Ouyang Nong come in." "Yes." The disciple nodded and left. Ouyang Chuanqi was about to get up and then sat down. He would wait for Ouyang Nong to come. However, Ouyang Chuanqi was a little amused. This Ouyang Nong really knows how to seize the opportunity. But this is also good. With Kong Mingming present, people won't say that he did something behind the scenes. In this way, everyone could see it. There was nothing to hide. If Kong Mingming went back and said it, Heavenly Elixir Sect could only suffer in silence. President Shen, President Ouyang, disciple Ouyang Nong greets the 2 elders. Ouyang Nong walked in and said respectfully. He ignored Kong Mingming, but Kong Mingming didn't think much about it. After all, he was an internal member of the Cultivator Trading Association. It was normal that he didn't know him. "Ouyang Nong, why are you here? Is there anything important? Why didn't I hear you mention it beforehand?" President Shen was a little puzzled. After all, these vice presidents were usually stationed in their respective markets and territories. They would only come back if there was something important. It was just that Ouyang Nong didn't call in advance. Could it be that he contacted Ouyang Chuanqi in advance? However, when President Shen looked at Ouyang Chuanqi, he saw that Ouyang Chuanqi was also surprised and curious. He dispelled this idea. It seemed that Ouyang Chuanqi didn't know about this in advance. "President Shen, President Ouyang, this time I came here for an important matter. I didn't call in advance because this matter is too important. I want to report to you personally." Ouyang Nong said respectfully. "Oh, what's the matter?" President Shen suddenly became interested. Since Ouyang Nong said so, it proved that it wasn't a small matter. "It's like this. There is a customer who wants to cooperate with our Cultivator Trading Association to sell a kind of godly artifact." Ouyang Nong said, "This matter you can handle it yourself. There's no need to come personally for a godly artifact, right? Just make a phone call?" President Shen asked curiously. "Yeah, Xiaonong, you have to learn to be independent. You can't look for me and Grandpa Shen for everything. How can you grow like this?" Ouyang Chuanqi also said. "No, there is more than one heaven-defying divine tool." Ouyang Nong said. "This is a heaven-defying divine tool that can be mass-produced." "Mass production? How is that heaven-defying?" President Shen was taken aback. He asked. "Yes. Just like this pill. How can something that can be mass-produced be called heaven-defying?" Ouyang Chuanqi also said in cooperation. President Shun, President Ouyang, although this thing can be mass-produced, it can't be mass-produced. Ouyang Nong proudly said. This thing is called a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. First-grade automatic cauldron? What's that? President Shun was taken aback. He had never heard of a divine artifact with such a name. It's a type of cauldron that can automatically refine pills. Ouyang Nong said. Automatically refining a first-grade pill? President Shun widened his eyes and looked at Ouyang Nong in disbelief. Ouyang Nong, are you talking nonsense? A medicinal cauldron that can automatically refine pills? Did I hear it wrong? How can there be such a thing? If this thing can automatically refine pills, then what's the use of alchemists? Yes, Xiao Nong, you didn't get cheated, did you? This Elder Kong Ming Ming in front of you is an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect. Ask Elder Kong if he has ever heard of such a thing. Ouyang Chuanqi also pointed at Kong Ming Ming in shock and said. Kong Ming Ming listened to Ouyang Nong's words and was also very surprised. First-grade automatic medicine cauldron? How can such a thing exist in the world? Was this some kind of international joke? At this moment, when he heard Ouyang Chuanqi's question, he immediately replied. Yes, what first-grade automatic medicine cauldron? Did Mr. Ouyang get cheated? I have never heard of such a medicine cauldron in the Heavenly Elixir sect. You know, the first-grade and second-grade medicine cauldrons on the market are all made by our Heavenly Elixir sect. We are manufacturers, but we have never heard of any automatic alchemy medicine cauldron. If there is such a thing, how can our Heavenly Elixir sect not know? Ouyang Nong glanced at Kong Ming Ming, but spat out 4 words that made Kong Ming Ming almost vomit blood. Ignorant and ill-informed. I am too lazy to argue with people like you. You are cheated and still help others to earn money. You are a typical example. Kong Ming Ming said angrily. Elder Kong, please calm down. Let me ask Ouyang Nong what is going on. President Shun waved his hand at Kong Ming Ming, motioning him to calm down, and then turned to look at Ouyang Nong. Xiaonong, tell me what is going on. You are usually a smart person. How can you be confused at this time? How can such a thing exist? Facts speak louder than words. President Shun, wait a minute. After watching my demonstration, you will understand what is going on. Ouyang Nong didn't argue. He just waved his hand and made a gesture to the back, then pointed to Xiao Kong, who was walking over from the door, and said, This is our market's alchemy tester, Xiao Kong. President Shun and President Ouyang both remember him, right? Yes, I remember him. At that time he was the person I assigned to you. Ouyang Chuanqi nodded and said, I have an impression. President Shun didn't have any impression, but he still knew about the alchemy tester. He was even more puzzled. Ouyang Nong, do you mean that your first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was tested by Xiao Kong? But, Ouyang Nong nodded. Silly. President Shun said with a dumbfounded expression. Ouyang Nong, think about it. An alchemy tester hasn't even touched the medicinal cauldron a few times. How can he help you test the medicinal cauldron? He doesn't understand, right? President Shun, I have said it. You can continue watching. Ouyang Nong said to Xiao Kong. Xiao Kong, refine a spirit-gathering pill for them. Yes, Vice President Ouyang. Xiao Kong responded. After that, he took out the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron from his backpack. In front of everyone, he placed it on the ground in front of them and sat cross-legged. What kind of medicinal cauldron is this? President Shun, President Ouyang, and Kong Ming Ming looked at the thing that Xiao Kong took out in surprise. They didn't know what it was. Chapter 31-32. Then he took out the refining materials for the spirit-gathering pill from his backpack and put them into the medicinal cauldron. Then, he closed the lid of the medicinal cauldron and turned on the switch of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Beep sounded, and the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was successfully started. Xiao Kong chose to refine the spirit-gathering pill. Then, according to the prompts on the LCD screen, he condensed the alchemy fire and began refining the elixir. This series of actions made the people present stunned. Even though Ouyang Chuanqi had heard Ouyang Nong talk about the situation of this medicinal cauldron before, he was still very shocked at this moment. Isn't this too intelligent? Why does it look like a smart rice cooker now? Put in rice, press a button, and then everything will be automatic? President Shun, Ouyang Chuanqi, And even Kong Ming came to Xiao Kong's side and watched him refine the elixir. If it was in the past, Xiao Kong would definitely be nervous, leading to the failure of the alchemy. But now it wouldn't be. Everything had prompts, and Xiao Kong wasn't afraid of missing anything. President Shun, Ouyang Chuanqi, and Kong Ming also saw the content on the screen. They looked at Xiao Kong's serious look, and gradually believed in this high-tech artifact in front of them. Kong Ming's face didn't look too good. The emergence of this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was a huge impact on the elixir market, especially for Kong Ming. It was even bad news. He had refined so many first-grade elixir. If everyone could refine elixir through the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron in the future, then who would buy elixir from the heavenly elixir sect? Therefore, Kong Ming kept praying in his heart. It's a lie, it's a lie. Phew! Xiao Kong skillfully completed the last step, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. According to the prompts on the screen, he put away the alchemy fire and said, "Okay, the elixir is done. President Shun, President Ouyang, and Vice President Ouyang, please inspect it." "Oh, it's done?" President Shun was shocked. "You haven't opened the medicinal cauldron. How do you know it's done?" "Yes, little Kong, if I remember correctly, you're the one who brought me here. Although you can control the alchemy fire because your body lacks the wood attribute, you can only be a pill tester and not an alchemist. How can you refine pills?" Ouyang Chuanqi also asked. President Shun, President Ouyang, this is the power of a grade 1 automatic medicine cauldron. As long as you can control the pill fire, it doesn't matter if you are proficient in refining pills, or if you don't have the wood attribute in your body, as long as you can change the temperature of the pill fire as you wish. He would be able to use a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron to refine pills. Moreover, it has a 100% success rate. There is no possibility of a defective pill. As he spoke, Xiao Kong opened the lid of the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Immediately, the room was filled with a fragrant aroma. A round, plump spirit-gathering pill with a faint glow entered everyone's eyes. "This?" Kong Ming pointed at the elixir in Xiao Kong's hand in disbelief. "How is this possible? This was illogical, absolutely illogical. What first-grade automatic medicine cauldron? It's all a lie and illusion. You must be an experienced alchemist. Are you pretending that you don't have the wood attribute? What's your intention?" "Elder Kong, I remember that Xiao Kong doesn't have the wood attribute in his body. If you don't believe me, you can check it yourself," Ouyang Chuanqi said with some displeasure. "I'll check it." Kong Ming didn't care whether Ouyang Chuanqi's tone was good or not. He had to figure it out and expose this scam. As he spoke, he grabbed Xiao Kong's hand and began to check it. However, he was shocked when he checked it, because Xiao Kong's body really didn't have the wood attribute, only the fire attribute. This impossible. Kong Ming finished checking and he didn't believe it. He pointed at Xiao Kong and said, "Even if you don't have the wood attribute, you have the fire attribute and can refine the spirit-gathering pill. Practice makes perfect. If you refine a few more times and master the feeling, you can also succeed. Don't think that I don't know." Xiao Kong frowned and said, "This is my second time refining. Vice President Ouyang can testify." Yes, Xiao Kong is indeed refining the spirit-gathering pill for the second time. Ouyang nodded and said affirmatively. Xiao Kong had refined one before. Ouyang didn't let him continue to refine other elixirs in the past 2 days in order to let him have enough physical strength for today's performance. "You are all in the same group. How can I believe what you say?" Kong Ming waved his hand and said to Xiao Kong, "If you have the ability, refine another elixir for me. Refine a resurrection pill. No, refine a qi recovery pill." The so-called qi recovery pill was a kind of elixir that could quickly restore physical strength and true qi. Because the recovery effect wasn't obvious, and it was only effective for golden phase masters, almost no alchemists would refine this unpopular elixir. After all, there was no market for this thing. Golden phase masters in sects were all ordinary disciples. They rarely used the qi recovery pill in battles. Those golden phase masters in the secular world didn't have the means to buy these elixirs. Therefore, this qi recovery pill was very rare. Even Kong Ming didn't dare to say that he could successfully refine it in one try. After all, he had never refined it before and didn't even know how to do it. President Shun didn't stop Kong Ming's words. After all, he was also skeptical at the moment. Therefore, he also wanted to verify whether the automatic medicine cauldron in Shao Kong's hands could refine other first-grade elixirs. It can be refined. Shao Kong glanced at the menu on the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. There was indeed an option of qi recovery pill, so he nodded and said, "But I don't have the materials for the qi recovery pill." "Go and prepare a few sets of materials for first-grade elixirs, including the qi recovery pill." President Shun pointed to a disciple who was on standby not far away and ordered him. "Yes." The disciple nodded and ran off to prepare. When Kong Mingming heard Shao Kong's words, his heart skipped a beat. He suddenly had a bad feeling. After all, Shao Kong's promise was too straightforward. However, Kong Mingming still encouraged himself and said, "You don't have to show off. We'll talk after you refine it." After a while, the disciple came back with a few bags in his hands. They must be filled with all kinds of first-grade elixirs. "President Shun, these are the materials for the qi recovery pill. These are the materials for other first-grade elixirs." The disciple handed the bags in his hands to President Shun. President Shun nodded and took the materials for the qi recovery pill. He handed them to Shao Kong and placed the rest on the ground. "Shao Kong, can you refine the qi recovery pill now?" Chapter 31-33. Subsequently, Shao Kong covered the lid and selected the option of qi recovery pill. According to the instructions above, he condensed the alchemy fire and began to refine the qi recovery pill. Looking at Shao Kong operating the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron calmly, Kong Mingming had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be that he could really refine the qi recovery pill? The people present, except for Ouyang Nong and Shao Kong who knew the truth, even Ouyang Chuanqi widened his eyes and looked at Shao Kong's alchemy without blinking. He also wanted to know if the alchemy could be successful this time. "Phew, the pill is done." Shao Kong put away the alchemy fire and directly opened the lid of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. He didn't even look at it and said directly. His words were full of confidence, or rather confidence in the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. "It's really done." President Shun saw the qi recovery pill in the medicinal cauldron and said in shock, "This first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is actually real. This is really a heaven-defying artifact. How is this possible? It's absolutely impossible." Kong Mingming's face was livid. "No, I have to try it myself. Otherwise, I will think that you are cheating." Shao Kong was in a difficult position. He looked up at Vice President Ouyang. After all, this medicinal cauldron was not a joke. What if it was broken? Ouyang Nong hesitated for a moment and then made a decision. "Shao Kong, let him use it. This medicinal cauldron won't be broken, but you have to tell Elder Kong how to use it." "Okay." Shao Kong saw that Ouyang Nong agreed, so he nodded. Although he was reluctant to use this person who always doubted him, since Ouyang Nong had spoken, he could only do as he was told. Kong Mingming took the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Suppressing the disdain in his heart, he reminded himself that he had to figure out if this thing was really useful. This was a big deal. He had to go back and immediately report to the Xianqin Patriarch and ask the Xianqin Patriarch to make a decision. Therefore, he listened carefully to Shao Kong's introduction about the use of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Then he picked up a bag of first-grade elixir materials on the ground and took a look. It was an elixir that he had never refined before, body-tempering pill. Another useless accumulation of medicinal pills. The body-tempering pill was the simplified version of the foundation-building pill. Basically, no one would refine it because its effect was worse than the foundation-building pill. Even if it was refined, no one would need it. However, the more unpopular this kind of medicinal pill was, the more it was worth it. The happier Kong Mingming was. He had never refined it before. Only then would he be able to better reflect the usefulness of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron, and whether it could automatically refine pills. Kong Mingming placed the herbs for the body-tempering pill into the cauldron and followed Shao Kong's instructions. He activated the first-grade automatic cauldron and chose the refining method of the body-tempering pill. Then, he began to condense his Dan fire to refine the body-tempering pill. Very soon, Kong Mingming realized that this method of alchemy was too simple. He did not need to waste his brain at all. Perception and whatnot were all fleeting clouds. He only needed to follow the instructions on the cauldron and change the temperature of the alchemy fire. There was no difficulty at all. Finally, Kong Mingming followed the instructions and finished refining the body tempering pill. After he opened the cauldron, his heart sank slightly. As expected, the refinement was successful. Looking at the incomparably round and plump first-grade body tempering pill in the cauldron, Kong Mingming did not know whether to laugh or cry. The refinement of this first-grade pill was successful, but Kong Mingming did not want it to be a success. This was because success meant that the situation of the Heavenly Elixir sect being the dominant sect would be completely changed. Moreover, Kong Mingming suddenly remembered that he had refined a large number of first-grade pills. Once this medicine cauldron appeared, who would buy these first-grade pills? Kong Mingming subconsciously glanced at the number of pills that the first-grade medicine cauldron could refine. 10 types. There were actually 10 types. Excluding the 3 uncommon and unpopular pills, the other 7 pills were all covered by the first-grade pills that Kong Mingming had given him. This was simply a scam. Kong Mingming almost threw the medicine cauldron in his hand. If he did not know that this medicine cauldron was priceless, Kong Mingming would have smashed it. I'm leaving first. Kong Mingming was anxious to go back and report this matter to Elder Xianchen, so he did not intend to stay any longer. Wait, Elder Kong, I'm afraid we don't need so many of these first-grade pills. Ouyang Chuanqi stopped Kong Mingming and said, "This." Kong Mingming was really afraid of what would happen, but he still forced himself to calm down and said, "It's okay. Let's sell it here first. After all, there is only one of this medicine cauldron. Doesn't mass production require time?" However, when he said this, Kong Mingming's expression was uglier than crying. He was not confident in his heart, so he could only take one step at a time. "That's good too." President Shen nodded and said, "After all, this is a luxury item. The price is definitely very high. Many sects cannot afford it." "That's true." After listening to President Shen's words, Kong Mingming suddenly felt relieved. Yes, the price of this thing will definitely not be cheap. In this way, Kong Mingming was relieved of the burden in his heart. Even if this thing is high, so what? The cost is high. Just like everyone knows that factories are cheap to make things, you certainly can't build a factory just because it's cheap, right? Or rather, if you open a restaurant, you can't grow your own vegetables and breed, right? After Kong Mingming left the medicine cauldron, he left with his followers. In the hall at this moment, President Shen, Ouyang Chuanqi, Ouyang Nong, Xiao Kong, and others were left. Ouyang Nong, where did this heaven-defying medicine cauldron come from? President Shen asked curiously. To be honest, President Shen, this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron came from a friend of mine. His company invented this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron, and he cooperated with us. Ouyang Nong said. Oh? What company? Which sect is he from? Not only is he proficient in alchemy, but he can also make such a heaven-defying medicine cauldron? Ouyang Chuanqi also asked in surprise. His name is Lin Yi, and his company is called Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company. Ouyang Nong said. I believe that President Shen and President Ouyang are familiar with this name. Chapter 31-34. However, he didn't expect to hear the name of this company from Ouyang Nong again. Plus, he'd heard of Lin Yi's name as well. Lin Yi's name was quite famous in the ancient world these days, and even if he wasn't famous, he'd still heard of him. He'd shown his strength in the test, defeating the disciple of the everyday sect, Zhang Naipeo. That was enough to give him the right to be proud. This Lin Yi, isn't he a freelancer? And Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, if I remember correctly, is that a company in the common world? Back then, Elder Kong Mingming's company was run by this company and went bankrupt, wasn't it? Ouyang Chuanqi thought of something as well. His face turned serious as he yelled at Ouyang Nong. Ouyang Nong, Lin Yi and Kong Mingming have a grudge against each other. Don't let them use you. Kong Xiaoming gave us so many first-level pills, and then you came back with a first-level automatic cauldron. Isn't it obvious that you don't want Kong Xiaoming to have a good time? If these words were said by others, President Shen would definitely think that Ouyang Chuanqi and Ouyang Nong had premeditated it in advance. However, these words were said by Ouyang Chuanqi. It was different. If this matter was really related to Ouyang Chuanqi, how could he say these words? If he didn't say it, President Shen wouldn't have thought of this. Now that he said it, President Shen thought of the hidden meaning. Since this was the case, President Shen eliminated the possibility that Ouyang Chuanqi knew about this beforehand. President Ouyang, how could Xiaonong know that Kong Mingming would come today? How could he be so accurate that he arrived right after Kong Mingming came? President Shen turned to Xiao Kong and asked, Xiao Kong, you came all the way here and came straight to see me, right? Ah yes. Xiao Kong, who was fiddling with the Grade 1 automatic cauldron in his hands, heard President Shen's question. He answered quickly. Xiao Kong was just an ordinary disciple. His love for a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron was written all over his face. President Shen could tell at a glance that he was not lying. Therefore, he was even more certain of his guess, but he still asked, Xiaonong, do you know that there is hatred between Lin Yi and Kong Mingming? I know. Ouyang Nong nodded readily. You know? President Shen's expression changed slightly. He frowned and said, If you know, why didn't you tell me in advance? At this moment, Ouyang Chuanqi's face changed slightly. He didn't know what Ouyang Nong was trying to do. Ouyang Nong was stunned for a moment before saying, Previously, the pills from our market. They were all supplied by Mr. Lin Yi. Previously, Mr. Lin Yi brought some Tier 1 and Tier 2 elixirs for me to sell, but our Cultivator Trade Association has already exclusively used the elixirs sent by Heavenly Elixir Sect's Elder Kong. So, I could only refuse Mr. Lin Yi and tell Mr. Lin Yi about the situation. So, Mr. Lin Yi was quite angry at that time. He seemed to hate this Elder Kong very much. That's it. President Shen asked with a strange expression after listening. Yeah, isn't this a grudge? Ouyang Nong smiled bitterly. However, this isn't a big deal. I didn't think much about it at the time. Later, Mr. Lin Yi brought me a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. After I dealt with the market's matters, I rushed over to meet President Shen and President Ouyang in person to explain this matter. Oh, then why didn't you call before? President Shen asked. This kind of thing, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, would you believe me if I called you or President Ouyang? Ouyang Nong spread his hands and said helplessly, That's true. President Shen nodded. Ouyang Nong, you have a good relationship with this Lin Yi? Yes, I have always been working with him. I'm sorry for rejecting him last time, but the rules of the Cultivator Trade Association can't be broken. So I could only reject him. However, this time I saw Kong Mingming suffer a setback. From a selfish point of view, I'm still quite happy. Ouyang Nong said. Ouyang Nong's words were open and aboveboard. Although he was a little narrow-minded, he said what he wanted to say. President Shen's remaining doubts dissipated. So he said, Well, this thing, how much can Lin Yi's company produce? If this thing is auctioned, it will probably sell for a sky-high price. The classification of this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is like this. There are single edition, 5-in-1 edition, and the 10-in-1 limited edition in my hand. As Ouyang Nong spoke, he told the classification of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to President Shen and Ouyang Chuanqi. After President Shen heard it, he also knew that Lin Yi probably pulled the Cultivator Trade Association as a backer and cooperated to sell it. However, the cooperation was only for the limited edition. However, President Shen didn't mind. This kind of heaven-defying thing could also attract some popularity if it was auctioned in the Cultivator Trade Association. Everyone could make money, so why not? Okay. Xiaonong, you will be fully responsible for the auction and publicity of this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron in the future. I will assign you a few disciples who are proficient in alchemy to help you. President Shen said. Thank you, President Shen. Ouyang Nong was very happy. It seemed that he had muddled through today. President Shen didn't doubt him at all. Ouyang Nong left with Xiao Kong to work on the publicity. Kong Mingming returned to 5 Elements Sect immediately and went to Ancestor Xuanshen's room. Father-in-law, it's not good. Something big has happened. Kong Mingming didn't care about etiquette and said hurriedly, Oh, what happened? Ancestor Xianshen looked at Kong Mingming's appearance and knew that something big had happened. Otherwise, Kong Mingming wouldn't have lost his composure like this. Recently, Kong Mingming had been training in 5 Elements Sect and Heavenly Elixir Sect. He had become a little calmer. He wasn't as impetuous as he was in the beginning. He had also experienced many big storms. The Cultivator Trade Association has created a first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron that can automatically refine first-grade elixirs. In this way, who are we going to sell our first-grade elixirs to? Kong Ming Ming said with a sad face. Oh? What first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron? There's such a thing? It can automatically refine first-grade elixirs? Zhao Ming, are you sure you didn't hear it wrong? Ancestor Xianchen frowned. This term sounded extremely absurd to his ears. A medicinal cauldron can be automatic? What's the use of alchemists then? It's true. I didn't hear it. I saw it with my own eyes. Kong Ming Ming said. Moreover, I also tested it. It can really refine elixirs. Even the first-grade elixirs that I haven't refined before can be successfully refined in one go. Chapter 31-35. It's like this. Kong Ming Ming quickly told Patriarch Xianchen everything he knew. Patriarch Xuanchen's face turned terrifyingly gloomy after hearing Kong Ming Ming's words. There's really such a heaven-defying Grade 1 medicine cauldron? Which force invented this? Did you find out which force invented this? Patriarch Xianchen asked. No, they didn't mention the situation at the time, so it wasn't appropriate for me to ask, Kong Ming Ming said. I just wanted to come back quickly to inform them, so I left first. I'll go find out about this. Patriarch Xianchen nodded. What about our Grade 1 pills? We left them at the Cultivator Trade Fair for the time being. It's useless to take them back since they've been sent over such a long journey. It's not easy for us to sell them ourselves, so we have to rely on them to sell them. When Kong Ming Ming said this, his expression suddenly changed. Father-in-law, do you think it's possible that these bastards from the Cultivator Trading Association deliberately tricked us? They made us refine so many Grade 1 pills and then made a Grade 1 automatic medicine cauldron. Isn't this a trap? It's a trap. Trap who? Patriarch Xianchen frowned and glared at Kong Ming Ming. How dare Kong Ming Ming call himself father in front of me? Father-in-law, you're my father-in-law, so aren't you my father? What I mean is, the Cultivator Trading Association is tricking you. Kong Ming Ming said quickly. The Cultivator Trading Association is tricking me? Patriarch Xianchen pondered for a moment and said, logically speaking, it shouldn't be possible. We didn't draw from the Cultivator Trading Association. On the contrary, we've been working together. Moreover, from what you said before, be it Shen Jiuqian or Ouyang Chuanqi, they didn't know that Ouyang Nong had gotten a medicine cauldron. They just found out like you. I know Shen Jiuqian. He has always valued the reputation of the Cultivator Trading Association. He definitely wouldn't do such a thing that harms others without benefiting himself. That's true. At that time, both President Shen and President Ouyang were skeptical about the cauldron that Vice President Ouyang took out. Kong Ming Ming nodded. That's why I said that the Cultivator Trading Association wouldn't do such a thing given its reputation. In my opinion, this is either an emergency, or the person who provided the Cultivator Trading Association with a first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is targeting us from behind. Patriarch Xianchen came to this conclusion after analyzing. Father-in-law, what should we do now? Kong Ming Ming asked. I'll ask around first, said Patriarch Black Earth. In the next few days, be it the Ancient Era or the Hidden Era, they all received news from the Cultivator Trade Association. The Cultivator Trade Association had released a new auction item, a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron that could automatically refine elixirs. This news was like a clap of thunder, immediately spreading to all the ancient and hidden planes. It was because this thing was too heaven-defying, it was impossible not to pay attention to it. Alchemists had always been the weakness of the Ancient Era sects and hidden families. This was also the reason why the Hidden Yu family and the Heavenly Elixir sect had many rogue cultivators who sought refuge with them. Although the alchemists themselves weren't strong, once they formed a certain scale, there would definitely be people who sought refuge with them. However, if one's own sect or family could also refine elixirs in the future, wouldn't it reduce the probability of their own family or sect's hangers-on defecting to others? Although everyone was skeptical about this news, in the following days, the Cultivator Trade Association planned to hold an exhibition of first-grade automatic medicinal cauldrons. This made those who doubted and those who didn't doubt it want to go and see for themselves. This time, even Patriarch Black Earth and Patriarch Black Earth disguised themselves as ordinary people to attend the exhibition. After all, there were many disciples who came to visit. It was difficult to be recognized even if they wore makeup. Patriarch Black Earth brought Kong Mingming to one side, while Patriarch Black Earth brought Tian Shan to the other side. After Ouyang Nong's impassioned speech, Little Kong carefully took out a medicinal cauldron from his backpack. This strange medicinal cauldron was, of course, a first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. However, when she saw the LCD screen on the cauldron, Tian Shan's eyes flashed with surprise. Beside her, Patriarch Black Earth was also shocked. This was because both of them thought of the same thing at the same time. It was Patriarch Black Earth's modified third-grade medicinal cauldron that was specially used to refine the elixirs of the Heavenly Island plan. This thing, why is it so similar to Master Strange's third-grade medicinal cauldron? Isn't it strange? Tian Shan asked. I feel that there's a connection, but let's take a look first. Patriarch Black Earth pointed at the stage and said. Next, Little Kong performed the alchemy on the spot. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he threw the ingredients for the first-grade soul-gathering pill into the medicinal cauldron and began to refine the elixir. Then the elixir was formed, and the fragrance filled the air. The quality was excellent. This caused everyone present to click their tongues in wonder. Previously, Ouyang Nong had already said that Little Kong was only a pill tester, and his body only had the fire attribute, not the wood attribute. This caused most of the people present to believe in the magic of this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. After all, many people knew Little Kong and knew that he was a pill tester. Even though his body did not have the wood attribute, there were still some people who were skeptical and wanted to try it themselves. However, under Little Kong's guidance, these people successfully refined first-grade elixirs. This caused everyone present to finally believe in the magic of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Seeing this, Tian Shan and Patriarch Black Earth looked at each other and saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. Master, this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is much more advanced than your third-grade magical cauldron. This is completely an electronic display, and it can refine more than one type of elixir. Yours is only a single one, Tian Shan said. This thing, who in the world invented it? Patriarch Black Earth was also incomparably surprised. After all, this was too similar to his medicinal cauldron. He couldn't help but think of the little girl he met in the past. She should be younger than Tian Shan. Could it be that she invented it? Of course, what everyone sees is a demonstration item. The real auction item can only be auctioned after a while. Although the function of the auction item does not change, there is a restriction, and that is that it can only be used by one alchemist. When the alchemist uses it for the first time, the alchemist's Zhanqi information will be recorded, and it will be useless for other people to use it. Ouyang Nong said. I hope everyone understands. Chapter 31-36. But before the auction, I want to make one thing clear. This first-level automatic cauldron is jointly sold by us, the Cultivator Trade Association, and the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company in the secular world. The seller in the secular world is the Liu family. Ouyang Nong's words caused a huge uproar. Liu family in the secular world? Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company? Everyone present was familiar with the people behind these two families. It was Lin Yi, the solo cultivator who had been in the limelight recently. Lin Yi. Kong Mingming spat out these two words fiercely. As expected, it's our enemy. It seems like we've wronged the Cultivator Trade Association. Elder Xianchen heard the name of the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company and immediately thought of Lin Yi. Lin Yi had a good reason for doing this. Since they were taking over his medicinal pill market, he would make it so that they couldn't sell their medicinal pills. Father-in-law, what should we do? Kong Mingming gritted his teeth in anger. Lin Yi again. He did not expect that he and Patriarch Xianchen would go for wool and come home shorn. They had lifted a rock to smash their own feet. Who were they going to sell so many grade 1 pills to? What else can we do? We'll buy a few of these cauldrons and see if we can replicate them. Elder Xianchen said unwillingly. Why don't we attack the Liu family and Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company in the secular world? This thing is probably produced by the Liu family and Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company. Let's go there and see if we can get the manufacturing information. Kong Mingming's brain was quite fast. Since this thing was related to Lin Yi, it was probably produced by the Liu family or Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company. After all, the Cultivator Trade Association didn't know about this before. So the only possibility was that Linny would cooperate with Ouyang Nong after producing it. So if they wanted to get the research information, it would be easier to find the manufacturer directly. Moreover, Kong Mingming used to do this kind of bribery and stealing business secrets. He was very familiar with it. No. Elder Xianchen shook his head and vetoed. Since Ouyang Nong singled out the secular Lu family and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, and said that they worked together to launch it, it means that both the secular Lu family and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company are strategic partners of the Cultivator Trading Association. If we touch either of them, we'll become enemies with the Cultivator Trading Association. It's not a wise move. Ah, father-in-law, could it be that our Five Elements sect is afraid of the Cultivator Trade Association? Kong Xiaoming asked doubtfully. Since you are my son-in-law, there are some things that I will not hide from you. Although our Five Elements sect is a dragon-like existence in the ancient times, the Cultivator Trade Association is an existence that transcends the ancient times. Patriarch Xianchen said in a low voice. An existence that transcends the ancient era? What does that mean? Kong Mingming was slightly stunned. The Cultivator Trade Association covers the hidden era and the ancient era. However, there are also cultivator trade associations above that. Although I don't know if the two are the same organization, there's an 80% chance that they're the same, Patriarch Xianchen said seriously. Patriarch Xianchen said sternly, if the Cultivators Trading Association is backed by a Cultivators Trading Association of that level, then even if we were at that level, we wouldn't be able to go against the Cultivators Trading Association, let alone us now. What level? Kong Xiaoming was confused and didn't know what was going on. It's nothing. All you need to know is that there seems to be a stronger backer behind the Cultivator Trade Association. Don't provoke them easily, and they won't take the initiative to break the rules and cause trouble for others, because the purpose of their organization is to seek wealth. The reason why Patriarch Xianchen wasn't sure if the two were the same was because the Cultivator Trade Association here earned money from the secular world. The transactions between that level didn't use banknotes, but another substitute. Oh! Although Kong Mingming didn't understand, he knew that since Patriarch Xianchen didn't dare to provoke the Cultivator Trade Association easily, he also didn't dare to cause trouble for himself. His timid character hadn't changed. He could only hide if he couldn't beat them. However, he thought about it and speculated. Father-in-law, do you think this thing was created by Boss Bai? Boss Bai, Han Jingjing Lin, all three of them are possible. It's not strange for the three of them to come up with such a strange thing. Patriarch Xianchen had already guessed it. But so what if we know? If the information is in Boss Bai's hands, we'll be at a disadvantage. It won't be easy to get it. Yes, we can only buy a few to study first. Kong Mingming nodded and said. When Tianchan heard that the mastermind behind all this was actually Lin Yi, her beautiful eyes flashed with excitement. This thing was created by Lin Yi's company? During this period of time, Tiandai had reported Lin Yi's information one after another. Tianchan naturally knew that the secular Lu family and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company were Lin Yi's forces. However, Patriarch Xuanjin didn't know what Tianchan was thinking. When he heard about Lin Yi, he naturally thought of Boss Bai. Could it be that this thing was really made by Boss Bai? Then, would Boss Bai know the little girl from back then? For a long time, Patriarch Xuanjin had wanted to find the little girl from back then, and ask her to help him modify a few more cauldrons. However, he didn't get to see her again. This made Patriarch Xuanjin feel a little regretful. So, he decided to call Boss Bai and ask after he went back. However, the first-grade automatic cauldrons sold by the secular Lu family are not the 10-in-1 limited edition like the one I have. They are 5 single versions and 5-in-1 edition. The 5-in-1 edition contains 5 single versions, but compared to the 10-in-1 limited edition, there are 5 different kinds of first-grade elixirs. Ouyang Nong introduced. If you can't wait, you can contact the secular Lu family to buy the single and 5-in-1 edition. However, the 10-in-1 limited edition must wait for the auction. However, the number of each auction is limited. There are only 3 cauldrons. Please be prepared. Chapter 31-37. The lively exhibition was over, and the people present left one after another, each with their own thoughts. Some held a wait-and-see attitude, Some wanted to go back and immediately contact the secular Liu family to buy a single version of the first-grade automatic cauldron to test, and some had made up their minds to collect all the first-grade automatic cauldrons. Kong Mingming and Elder Xianqian were naturally envious, but it did not prevent them from going to the secular Liu family to buy the first-grade automatic cauldron for research. As the storm of the first-grade automatic cauldron began, the Dongfang family also thoroughly investigated the identity of Lin Yi. Father, second brother, this kid is not Zhang Naipeo of the Everyday and Everyday sect, but Lin Yi. We were all deceived by him. After Dongfang Jingxing got the news, he angrily came to the place where Ouyang Badao and Ouyang Yinxing were practicing. Oh, Lin Yi. Dongfang Badao had heard of this name. At the Heavenly Elixir Sect's trial, Lin Yi had defeated the disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect, Zhang Naipeo. At that time, the Dongfang family also wanted to find Lin Yi to cooperate and ask about Zhang Naipeo's weakness, but the Dongfang family had always regarded themselves as an ancient family, high and mighty, and were unwilling to ask a wandering practitioner for advice, so this matter was delayed. But what they didn't expect was that Lin Yi had become their enemy. Yes, Su Shihan's bodyguard is called Lin Yi. He is not a disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect at all. This Lin Yi is very strange. At the Heavenly Elixir Sect's trial, even Zhang Naipeo of the Everyday and Everyday sect was not his opponent. It is normal for him to be able to fight against an enemy of a higher level. We walked into a misunderstanding that Dongfang Jian brought to us before, wishfully thinking that this person is a disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect. Dongfang Jingxing said. So, in the Cultivator Trading Association, the person who colluded with Vice President Ouyang and killed Dongfang Jian is also Lin Yi? Is it also Lin Yi? Dongfang Badao asked. That's right. From the looks of it, it's 100%. Dongfang Jingxing said with certainty. Father, you don't know this, but today, I received news that the first-level automatic cauldron that's been hyped up by the Cultivator Trade Association is a collaboration between Ouyang Nong and Lin Yi. The relationship between the two of them isn't shallow. That person is undoubtedly Lin Yi. Well done, Lin Yi, very good. A mere vagrant cultivator dares to oppose our Dongfang clan time and time again? Do you really think that our Dongfang family is so easy to bully? Dongfang Yinxing slammed the table and angrily roared. Father, let me go and kill this little bastard. Avenge the deaths of our Dongfang clan's experts. Be patient. Dongfang Badao was obviously not an impulsive person. He waved his hand and said, right now Lin Yi is cooperating with the Cultivator Trade Association. He's like the sun in the sky. If we kill him now, we'll be going against the Cultivator Trade Association. For the Cultivator Trading Association, this is an existence that even the Heavenly Elixir sect dare not provoke. How can our Dongfang clan fight against it? The news that the Heavenly Elixir sect suffered a loss at the Cultivator Trading Association spread like wildfire. The reason was because of Lin Yi's first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Therefore, even the Heavenly Elixir sect endured it. How could the Dongfang clan stand out? Father, are we just going to let it go? Dongfang Yinxing was obviously very unwilling and asked with red eyes. Of course, it's impossible to just let it go. Dongfang Badao smiled coldly and said, we can't kill Lin Yi now. However, he could secretly kill him. However, Su Shihan should not be moved for the time being. Even if we do move, we can't link it with Lin Yi's matter. After this period of limelight, Lin Yi is dead. Then we will find trouble with her. This way, no one will suspect that Lin Yi's death has anything to do with us. This is also true. Dongfang Yinxing nodded. Obviously, he also didn't want to bring trouble to the Dongfang clan because of revenge. Right, Father, when I investigated Lin Yi's identity before, I specifically asked the Everyday and Everyday sect for confirmation. The Everyday and Everyday sect seems to also want to send a master with the strength of the peak late stage of Earth class to kill Lin Yi. Dongfang Jingxing suddenly thought of something and immediately said, oh, the Everyday and Everyday sect? What's going on? Dongfang Badao immediately became interested. Before, I thought that Lin Yi was from the Everyday and Everyday sect, so I called Chunyang Tianzuan and asked if the disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect, Zhang Naipeo, had recently come out of the mountain, but the answer I got was that after returning from the Heavenly Elixir sect's trial, Zhang Naipeo fell into the demon of his heart that was thwarted by Lin Yi. He was depressed every day, How could he have the time to go out and kill people from our Dongfang clan? Dongfang Jingxing said. Although I didn't believe it at the time, I thought that the everyday and everyday sect had no need to lie to me, so I believed it. Later, I received a call from the ancient Feng clan's Feng Tianhu, telling me that the bodyguard beside Su Shihan was Lin Yi. So I called the everyday and everyday sect's Chunyang Tianzuan again and told him that I was very sorry about the previous matter. I misunderstood them, and that the real culprit was Lin Yi, also the enemy of their everyday and everyday sect. Oh? Then what did Chunyang Tianzuan say? Dongfang Badeo asked with interest. Then Chunyang Tianzuan said that even if we don't go looking for trouble with Lin Yi, they are ready to send Chunin Tianzuan to kill Lin Yi. If we also have the same idea, we can talk to them and kill Lin Yi together so that whoever kills first the other party will be unhappy. Dongfang Jingxing said. Oh, that's the best. Two masters with the strength of the peak late stage of heaven class go together. No matter how powerful Lin Yi is, no matter how strong he is, he will definitely die. The corner of Dongfang Badeo's mouth showed a smile. This is very good. At that time, the everyday and everyday sect will be in the light. We will be in the dark. If Lin Yi dies, we can still push the blame to them. As for why the everyday and everyday sect took action, the people of the Dongfang clan still wanted to take action together. The reason was very simple. So many people of the Dongfang clan had died. If the Dongfang clan didn't personally send people to kill Lin Yi, how could they calm the anger in their hearts? Only by taking revenge with their own hands could they be at ease. Otherwise, the Dongfang clan would always be sullen. Chapter 31-38. No, after all, he died in the trial. We can't use this as an excuse to cause trouble. Secondly, our Dongfang family's strength is really not good. Without a peak late stage heaven class master, we are not the opponent of the everyday and everyday sect. So I didn't say it and they didn't ask. Dongfang Jingxing said. Okay, then it's settled. Jingxing, you discuss with the people of the everyday and everyday sect again. Let's see when our two families will go together and kill Lin Yi. Dongfang Badeo said. I will call in a while. Dongfang Jingxing replied. In the everyday and everyday sect, Chunyang Sky Master, who received the call from Dongfang Jingxing, immediately found Zhongpingliang, his master, the Mad Dragon Master. Master, people from the Dongfang family just called, hoping that our two families will join forces to deal with Lin Yi. Chunyang Sky Master said truthfully. Lin Yi, you have decided to kill him? Pinliang wasn't willing to give up. He'd always wanted to kill Lin Yi with his own hands, but he still had the soul of the Mad Dragon Patriarch in his body. He knew that he had to look at the bigger picture. Even if he wasn't willing, this was the only way. Moreover, Zhang Naipeo was his brother, and he didn't want anything to happen to him. Zhang Naipeo still hasn't gotten rid of the demon in his heart. It seems that we can only kill Lin Yi to let him return to normal. Although this is not good for his growth, and there is no enemy to motivate him, it is better than him not getting rid of the demon in his heart for the rest of his life. Chunyang Sky Master said. So, I hope Master can help me. Okay, you talk to the Dongfang family. When this Chunin kid comes out, he will go and kill Lin Yi. Zhong Pingliang nodded and agreed. Yes, Master. Chunyang Sky Master nodded and responded. These few days of peace. It made Lin Yi temporarily think that the Dongfang family had given up the idea of Su Shihan. After all, so many people died, and they haven't sent any masters for so long. This matter, it was estimated that it was over. At least for now there should be no problem. What Lin Yi didn't know was that two peak late-stage heaven-rank experts were ready to join hands to cause trouble for Lin Yi. It wasn't that they didn't want to come, but that heavenly venerable Purine hadn't come out of seclusion. First-grade automatic medicine cauldrons were officially on sale in the secular Lu family's company. Although the price was set by Lu Jinghan to be incomparably high, a single version of the medicine cauldron was sold for 200 million yuan, and a 5-in-1 medicine cauldron was sold for 800 million yuan. But on the first day of business, in the end he managed to sell 3 single-edition first-grade automatic cauldrons. 2 first-grade automatic cauldrons with 5-in-1. Of course, the rest of the people were just watching. They wanted to hear how others felt about using it. After all, they weren't sure if the version sold in the secular world was the same as the version sold in the Cultivator Trade Association. The only way was to wait for others to use it and then make plans. But among these medicine cauldrons, there were 2 that Kong Mingming sent people to buy. One was a single-edition automatic cauldron, and the other was a 5-in-1 one. After he returned, he planned to study it with the Xianqin ancestor. And these people from the ancient and hidden realms were very smart at this moment. They didn't bargain or take it by force. After all, the secular Lu family was now in a cooperative relationship with the Cultivator Trade Association. If they dared to harm the secular Lu family, it would be going against the Cultivator Trade Association. They didn't have the guts to do so. One had to know that the Cultivator Trading Association had 3 peak late heaven rank Great Perfection Realm experts overseeing it. This strength was quite formidable. Lu Jinghan didn't expect the sales to reach 1.9 billion on the first day. It could be said to be a good start. Just the money from the first day was enough to repay the loan from the bank. At least the Lu family's loan was not a problem, and the sales tomorrow and the day after could be used to repay the debt of Fatty Lie's medical company. Immediately Lu Jinghan happily called Lin Yi. Lin Yi, do you know? On the first day our sales reached 1.9 billion. Although Lu Jinghan was the genius of the Lu family, this kind of terrifying sales made her feel uneasy. What kind of business could make so much money in one go? Although the cost of a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron wasn't low, and the titanium alloy and the special SCM were extremely expensive, compared to the price it was a drop in the ocean. It could even be ignored. 1.9 billion? Lin Yi was also shocked. He didn't expect to sell so many on the first day. One must know that in order to make the medical company run again, Lin Yi spent a lot of effort to raise a sum of money, but Lu Jinghan actually sold so many on the first day. How many medicine cauldrons did you sell? 5, 2, 5-in-1 3 single versions, Lu Jinghan said. But the cost of these 2 is the same, there's no difference. Lin Yi naturally understood what Lu Jinghan said. The difference between the 2 was nothing more than the program in the SCM, but there was no difference in the cost. But what surprised Lin Yi was that 5 medicine cauldrons sold for 1.9 billion. Why so much? What price did you set? Lin Yi was very shocked. The price really shocked him. The price of a single medicine cauldron is 200 million, and the 5-in-1 one is 800 million. This is the price that I agreed with Vice President Ouyang because I have to set the price according to the estimated price of their auction. I can't lower the price, Lu Jinghan said. But now it seems that the sales momentum is good. At least there's no silence. From tomorrow onwards there will be more people buying. After all, a lot of people are waiting for others to buy it and see if it has the same effect as the Cultivator Trade Association. Okay, then you continue to sell. Report to me at any time if there's any news. Lin Yi was relieved. The company's matters had troubled him for a long time, and now it had finally come to an end. 5 Elements Sect. Kong Mingming directly presented the 2 medicine cauldrons in front of Patriarch Xianqin and said with pain, "This secular Lu family is really black-hearted. These 2 pieces of trash actually cost a high price of 1 billion yuan. If it weren't for the Cultivator Trade Association settling some of the sales of medicinal pills, I wouldn't have the money to buy them." Chapter 31-39. Patriarch Xianqin also felt that this thing was ridiculously expensive, but it couldn't be helped. Who asked it to automatically refine pills? One had to know that the value of a first-grade alchemist was not just this. Is there anything special about it? I don't dare to study it. This thing is very sophisticated. I'm afraid of breaking it, so I showed it to you immediately, father-in-law, Kong Mingming said. This thing seems to be a combination of ancient and modern times. It has both electronics and ancient technology. It's really not easy to study, Patriarch Xianqin said to Little One. Little One, go and find your second uncle Xuanzhen. Let's study this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron together. Yes. Little One responded quickly, turned around, and left the room to find Patriarch Xuanzhen. After a while, Patriarch Xuanzhen brought Tianchan to Patriarch Xuanzhen's room. In fact, Patriarch Xuanzhen was also very interested in this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Of course, he did not intend to say too much to Patriarch Xianqin. With Patriarch Xuanzhen's overbearing personality, if he knew that the little girl he met could also modify the medicine cauldron, he would probably capture her. Therefore, Patriarch Xuanzhen and Tianchan each picked up a medicine cauldron and studied it without expressing any opinions. It's very sophisticated. The material of this medicine cauldron is different from a real first-grade medicine cauldron. Patriarch Xuanzhen looked at the appearance for a while and came to this conclusion. Oh, Patriarch Xianchen did not realize it. Previously, he thought that the material of this automatic medicine cauldron was the same as a real first-grade medicine cauldron. However, when Patriarch Xuanzhen mentioned it, he realized the difference. This seems to be a metal material that is more commonly used in the secular world. It's not a rare-colored steel. It should be titanium metal. Kong Mingming was not a complete idiot. He had stayed in the secular world for a long time. After Patriarch Xuanzhen's reminder, he immediately recognized the material of the medicine cauldron. This kind of thing is often used in some secular products. However, this titanium metal seems to be a little different. It has been processed. Yes. Do you have any other opinions? Patriarch Xianchen nodded and looked at Kong Mingming with anticipation. Father-in-law, second uncle master, there are some electronic circuits in this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. We don't understand these things, so if we disassemble it rashly, it is very likely that this equipment will be damaged. Therefore, my suggestion is, we should hire a computer expert. He was trying to decipher this cauldron. There must be an electronic program in it. Kong Mingming suggested. Yes, you're right. However, our Five Elements sect has always been dealing with these ancient sects. Which of these sects is good at this? Patriarch Xianchen frowned and said, Zhao Ming, do you know anyone? I have a candidate that I can try. I think he should have a way. Kong Mingming said after thinking for a while. Who is it? Patriarch Black Earth asked. And this person, father-in-law, you also know her. She is the leader of the Fire Wolf Gang, Miss Luan. Kong Mingming said. The Fire Wolf Gang is an organization similar to an ancient sect that focuses on high technology. Asking them for help is our only choice. Not bad, Xiaoming, your brain works very fast. If you didn't say it, I wouldn't have thought of it. Patriarch Black Earth nodded and said, Okay, Xiaoming, you are in charge of contacting Miss Luan. If she has any requests, just let her know. Okay, father-in-law, I will contact her now. Kong Mingming said and nodded. He left the room and went to make the call. In the room, Patriarch Black Earth and Tian Chan finally understood what Patriarch Black Earth and Kong Mingming wanted to do. They seemed to want to decipher and imitate the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Patriarch Black Earth frowned slightly. He was a bit ashamed of copying other people's scientific and technological achievements. After all, the Five Elements sect was the leader of the ancient sect. Doing such a thing was really damaging to their reputation. As for Tian Chan, she was deeply worried. She wanted to stop them, but she didn't have enough reason. She could only hope that Kong Mingming and Patriarch Black Earth would not be able to decipher it. However, Patriarch Black Earth spoke. Black Earth, you want to imitate this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron? Yes, second senior brother, I believe you also know the business opportunities of this thing. The most important thing is that this medicine cauldron costs 200 million for a single version, and 800 million for a 5-in-1 version. It's simply a sky-high price. If we can copy it, I'm afraid we can make a lot of money. Patriarch Black Earth said. Black Earth, we want to use the name of the Heavenly Elixir sect to sell it. As the leader of the ancient sects, isn't it inappropriate for you to let the Heavenly Elixir sect do some counterfeiting? Patriarch Black Earth said. This is a matter of reputation. Second senior brother, I'll still say the same thing. You're not in charge, so you don't know how expensive daily necessities are. Patriarch Black Earth said with a bitter face. You don't know. Previously, we refined a large number of first-grade pills and used all of our liquid funds to refine pills. In the end, when the pills were sent to the Cultivator Trade Association, they actually told us that this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron had appeared, and it was actually invented by Lin Yi. It's really infuriating. Isn't this clearly against us? We've wasted so many pills in our hands. If we don't imitate this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron, our Five Elements sect will really go bankrupt. Where will we have the money to buy the pill refining materials needed to start the Heavenly Stage Island plan? Then why did you refine so many first-grade pills? Patriarch Black Earth snorted. Don't think that I don't know. Isn't it to make Lin Yi's pills unable to be sold? Black Earth, you're really narrow-minded. Now that the pills can't be sold, you're starting to blame Lin Yi. When the time comes, I'll see that you imitate this medicine cauldron. Maybe he will come up with something new. Alright, second senior brother, you don't have to worry about these things. You should just refine pills. I'll take full responsibility for these things. Patriarch Black Earth said decisively. Forget it, I'm going back to refine pills. Heavenly Silkworm Transformation. Let's go. Patriarch Black Earth waved his hand and said to Tian-chan, looking at the backs of Patriarch Black Earth and Tian-chan as they left. Patriarch Black Earth smiled disdainfully. New things? How is that possible? This medicine cauldron is probably Lin Yi's limit. When I imitate it, I can replace Lin Yi's market. Chapter 3140. Even he didn't dare to say that he could easily make a second-grade medicine cauldron, let alone Lin Yi. Kong Mingming found Miss Luan's phone number and called her directly. Elder Kong. Miss Luan's voice came from the other side of the phone. Why are you calling me? Are you asking about the news of the 2 test subjects? Oh, let's not talk about the 2 test subjects first. That's not urgent. I have something else that I want to consult Miss Luan about. Kong Mingming didn't care about Elder Mian and Zhao Guangyin's lives. They weren't his father anyway. What he was concerned about now was the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. What is it? Miss Luan asked. I don't know if Miss Luan has an expert who is proficient in cracking computer programs and electronic circuits? Kong Mingming asked. Oh, what does Elder Kong mean by this? What do you want to do? Miss Luan asked. It's like this. I believe that Miss Luan must have heard about the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron that's causing an uproar in the underworld, right? Kong Mingming asked. Yes, I've heard about it. However, this thing has nothing to do with us. Our center's research direction is technology, which is different from these elixirs. Miss Luan said. Hehe, Miss Luan might not know this, but this first-grade medicine cauldron is high-tech. Kong Mingming explained the general situation of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron to Miss Luan in detail. According to what you said, this thing might really be an electronic product. However, what is your purpose in telling me this? Miss Luan asked. It's like this. I want to ask Miss Luan to help us crack and make a replica of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Is Miss Luan interested? Of course, we will share the profits. Kong Mingming invited. Oh, if my understanding isn't wrong, if I buy a medicinal cauldron and then make a replica, wouldn't I be able to enjoy the profits alone? Why would I share the profits with you? Miss Luan asked. Miss Luan, you know that this medicinal cauldron not only requires excellent computer and electronic skills, but also knowledge of alchemy. Our Heavenly Elixir sect and 5 Elements sect are the authorities in this area. Moreover, Miss Luan's sales channel is not as good as ours, right? How could the products of the Heavenly Elixir sect and the products of the Fire Wolf gang be the same in terms of quality? Who do you think those ancient sects will believe? Kong Mingming quickly asked. What you said makes sense. Let me think about it. Miss Luan nodded and fell into deep thought. Kong Mingming didn't dare to disturb her as he quietly waited for her reply. After about 3 to 5 minutes, Miss Luan spoke again. I can agree to your suggestion, but this thing isn't that easy to crack or imitate. We will provide technical support, and you will be responsible for manufacturing and sales. The profits will be split 50 to 50. 50-50. Kong Mingming was stunned. Wasn't that a little too much? He had to ask Ancestor Xianchen, so he said, Okay, I will ask, but do you have such a talent on your side? My boyfriend is a computer expert, but he is busy with other things now, so he can't come back for the time being. However, he has a personal disciple called Dr. Benjamin too, who is also a computer expert. He can cooperate with you for research and development, said Miss Luan. Okay. I will report to Ancestor Xianchen now. Kong Mingming got a positive answer and quickly walked to Ancestor Xuanchen's room. After knocking on the door, Kong Mingming walked into Ancestor Xuanchen's room, but he found that Ancestor Xuanchen and Heavenly Silkworm Transformation were no longer there. However, Kong Mingming was not surprised. After all, Ancestor Xuanchen and Heavenly Silkworm Transformation were not on good terms with Ancestor Xianchen. Father-in-law, I have already called Miss Luan, who is behind the Fire Wolf gang. She can send an expert in this area to help us research and crack the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron, but the condition is that the profits must be split 50 to 50, said Kong Mingming. 50 to 50. That's a bit too much. After Ancestor Xianchen heard it, he frowned slightly. However, Miss Luan was not like the masters of the ancient sections. She was not a pushover. Since Miss Luan proposed this division, it basically could not be changed. If it was changed, the other party was likely to terminate the cooperation. This was not worth it for Ancestor Xianchen. After all, the only person he could find for the time being was Miss Luan. Even if Ancestor Xianchen could recruit people in the secular world for his own use, it would still take some time to train talents and set up a laboratory. By the time it was produced, the market would be saturated. How could he make a lot of money? It would be too late. Therefore, in the face of Miss Luan's exorbitant demand, Ancestor Xianchen had no choice but to nod and say, "Okay, you agree to Miss Luan's request. 50-50. But her people must come as soon as possible." "Okay, I will go and talk to Miss Luan." Kong Mingming nodded and then went to call Miss Luan. After Miss Luan received a reply from Kong Mingming, she did not say anything else. She directly sent her boyfriend's student, Dr. Benjamin Tu, to find Kong Mingming. Benjamin Tu was indeed a very powerful person. After picking up the medicinal cauldron, he took a few glances at it and roughly explained the principle of this medicinal cauldron. There should be a single-chip microcomputer in this medicinal cauldron. It adjusts the size of the fire according to the curve of time to achieve the purpose of alchemy. To be honest, we know the principle. If we want to make it, it is actually possible. Make it. Ancestor Xianchen frowned. Hadn't he thought of making a similar thing before? However, alchemists relied on their own perception of the shape of the elixir to adjust the size of the fire at any time. However, this thing was just a feeling. Who could record the size of the fire while refining the elixir? Moreover, the size of the fire was just a personal feeling. If he really wanted to say how big the fire was, Ancestor Xianchen couldn't say it. Moreover, there was the coordination of time and temperature. One deviation and this elixir would be ruined. This involves some complicated functional curves. After many days of observation by Ancestor Xianchen, he found that this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was not as simple as he imagined. Chapter 3141. For example, when refining a first-grade elixir, the specified temperature and fire intensity were a parameter. However, if the alchemist's control of the temperature was off, such as the temperature being slightly lower, he could increase the success rate of the elixir by increasing the intensity of the fire. This was a subtle adjustment of the feeling, but it was different when using this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to refine elixir. Originally, an alchemist thought that the temperature of his alchemy fire had reached a certain temperature, but the LCD screen of the medicinal cauldron showed that it was actually slightly higher or slightly lower. Moreover, the deviation coefficient of this high and low was different for each kind of elixir. It could be said that the alchemist's alchemy depended entirely on the feeling. If you asked him to record the temperature, fire intensity, and time of his own alchemy, it was simply impossible. If others were to refine according to this, they would probably not succeed because everyone's feeling was different. Just like how some people felt that salty dishes were delicious, some people felt that sweet dishes were delicious. It was difficult for everyone to adjust. It was the same for alchemy. As the saying goes, the master leads the way, and the cultivation is up to the individual. This sentence was the most appropriate to describe the alchemist. Therefore, Patriarch Xianchen directly shook his head and said, "That's impossible. Alchemy is something that can only be understood and not explained. If I really had to say it, I wouldn't be able to say the refining time and fire intensity of each pill." Different alchemists, when refining the same kind of elixir, the time and temperature used may be different. This involves the problem of personal habits, but this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron will not only be adjusted according to the personal attributes of each alchemist when it is used for the first time, but it can also display the true temperature of the alchemist's current alchemy fire on the LCD screen at any time. Dr. Benjamin Tu was just asking casually. He didn't know much about alchemy. Listening to Patriarch Xianchen say that it was so complicated and troublesome, he gave up the idea of recreating it. After all, recreating it seemed to be more difficult. However, Dr. Benjamin Tu was a little puzzled. Who invented this thing? The inventor's mind is not inferior to me. A genius doctor. However, even so, Dr. Benjamin Tu still felt that if this inventor were to compete with his master, it would be a small trick because he didn't even learn 1/10 of his master's skills. However, Dr. Benjamin Tu also knew that His master was doing something big now. He had no time to care about these small things. Then I'll open it and take a look. Dr. Benjamin too checked the appearance of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron and said, I can only find a way to cut it. This medicinal cauldron uses the current very advanced seamless welding technology. There are no screws to fix the space. All right. Little E, cut this cauldron open. Patriarch Xianchen ordered Little E. Dr. Benjamin Tu's original intention was to use a laser to cut it, but he didn't expect that Little E would actually take out a heaven-grade divine weapon long sword and slash it around the medicine cauldron. The medicine cauldron broke. Looking at the perfectly cut medicine cauldron, the internal structure was not damaged at all. The corner of Dr. Benjamin Tu's mouth twitched twice. He thought, these cultivators are really perverted, but fortunately my modified biohuman is successful. He was not any weaker than these people. However, after Dr. Benjamin Tu dismantled the medicinal cauldron, he did not care about the structure but continued to dismantle it. After removing the microcontroller chip from the final circuit, he was somewhat disappointed. The pins and shape of this microcontroller were completely unique. It did not meet international component standards at all. It must be a non-general purpose microcontroller made by himself. Although Dr. Benjamin Tu had long thought of this possibility, he was still a little disappointed after seeing it with his own eyes. Previously, he still had a fluke. After all, the person who could invent this kind of thing was not necessarily good at electronic circuits and encryption. These were two fields. He didn't believe that someone could be proficient in them at the same time. But now it seemed that this person was very powerful. This microcontroller was made by himself and there was no parameter information at all. It was even more difficult to crack it. How about this? Give me a few days. I will go back to my laboratory to research and crack this single-chip microcomputer. If there are any results, I will inform you. If there are no results, I will let you know. However, if you want to crack it and copy it, it won't work. Dr. Benjamin Tu frowned and said, but I also want to remind you that the possibility of cracking an imitation is relatively small because this microcontroller is not a standard self-made special microcontroller. It is very difficult to crack. I see. After listening to Dr. Benjamin Tu's words, Ancestor Xianchen was a little unwilling, but he was helpless. After all, Dr. Benjamin Tu had already said very clearly that this kind of thing could not be forced. It was not something that could be imitated just because you wanted to. There was a high level of technology involved. Even the scientific experts from the center, who had always been famous for their high-tech, said so. Ancestor Xianchen also dispelled the idea of looking for others. Although he did not study these things, he also understood the level of science and technology in the center. It was just that Ancestor Xianchen was a little puzzled. Linny is obviously a cultivator. How can there be such a scientific expert around him? Even Boss Bai can't do anything about it, right? Dr. Benjamin Tu left in a hurry. He came and left in a hurry. However, on the night after Dr. Benjamin Tu left, Ancestor Xianchen and Kong Mingming received a call from him. No, give it up. Dr. Benjamin Tu's words made the expectations of Ancestor Xianchen and Kong Mingming instantly fall to the bottom. Dr. Benjamin Tu, what the hell is going on? Can't it be cracked? Ancestor Xianchen asked with some unwillingness. To tell you the truth, after I came back, I did a detailed study of some of the components and circuits on the periphery of the circuit board. This microcontroller is not a conventional microcontroller, but a kind of concept proposed by the hacker world more than 10 years ago. With the level of technology at that time, the concept was just an idea. It was temporarily impossible to realize. I didn't expect that after a few years, I would see the finished product. However, even if I knew some of the original information, there was no way to crack it. Dr. Benjamin Tu said resolutely. Chapter 3142. It's impossible. That person was once known as the king of hackers. Her code name was I Love Xiaoming. However, her identity was later confirmed. With my identity, it is absolutely impossible to invite her. Dr. Benjamin Tu shook his head and said, why? Ancestor Xianchen naturally didn't care about the hacker's name. He just wanted to know if he could invite him out of the mountain. Because she's the woman of that lunatic who destroyed the center and killed my senior brother, Professor Benjamin I. Professor Benjamin I's words were unclear. But Patriarch Xianchen understood what Professor Benjamin I was saying, and he was shocked. He naturally knew about the madman from back then. This person, who was called Madman Yang, was one of the Vajradul evils that swept through the primordial era. Patriarch Xianchen would definitely not provoke such a person if he could avoid it. Although this person disappeared, it was impossible for Ancestor Xianchen to be enemies with his relatives. If this madman popped up again one day, then the Five Elements sect would probably become a deserted sect. Therefore, after listening to Dr. Benjamin Tu's words, Ancestor Xianchen directly gave up and didn't ask about these things. Instead, he said, "Then what should we do now? Do we just give up like this? I suggest that you use commercial espionage to settle this matter. As long as you get the research and development information of the other party, I am confident that I can recreate it," said Dr. Benjamin Tu. Get the research and development information? Ancestor Xianchen was slightly stunned. He suppressed his unhappiness and said, "If I get the information, I can produce it myself. Do I still need you?" "You can't say that. I can guarantee that after you get the information, it is impossible to produce it. Many of the components on this circuit board are non-standard specifications. Even if you get the core information, we can only substitute other existing electronic components because you can't buy the electronic components on this medicinal cauldron." Dr. Benjamin Tu said, "Of course, if you think that your heavenly elixir sect has this ability, you can get rid of us and do it alone." After hearing this, Ancestor Xianchen finally understood why Dr. Benjamin Tu was so confident. It turned out that Dr. Benjamin Tu was certain that their Five Elements sect didn't have the technical talent in this area. Even if they got the production materials, it was impossible to manufacture it. Let's not talk about anything else. Most of the existing components are going to be eliminated due to the high temperature resistance of the circuit boards and components. Therefore, our center is not asking for a lion's share of the profits," Dr. Benjamin Tu reminded. "All right, I'll try my best." Patriarch Xianchen hung up the phone helplessly. It seemed that he had thought too simply. Patriarch Xianchen told Kong Mingming what Dr. Benjamin Tu had said, and Kong Mingming's expression was a little uncertain. However, he quickly made up his mind. "Father-in-law, why don't we start with Lin Yi's company or the secular Lu family? We can get the production materials directly and then replicate it?" Kong Mingming suggested. "Are you confident? At least you can't rob them openly. You have to do it secretly. You can bribe their employees, but you can't use threats. Otherwise, the Cultivator Trade Association won't be easy to deal with." Ancestor Xianchen hesitated for a moment and decided to use this method. After all, the Five Elements sect was really too poor now. All their funds were invested in a large pile of first-grade medicinal pills that were a pity to throw away. They finally had a little return and bought 2 first-grade automatic cauldrons. This made Ancestor Xianchen have to think of other ideas. "I know. I've done this many times before." Kong Mingming nodded and said, "However, we have to start from 2 sides. One is the secular Lu family, and the other is Fatty Lai's Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company. Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company is easy to handle. My cousin is the vice president there. Although it's not easy to deal with, as long as we have the right methods, it's not impossible. As for the secular Lu family, we have to find a starting point. I haven't had much contact with them before. I don't know what their weaknesses are." "Oh, then what are you going to do with Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company?" Ancestor Xianchen nodded and asked. "Honey trap." A sinister look flashed in Kong Mingming's eyes. "This cousin of mine has a weird habit. He's very protective of the women I've played with. As long as we act pitiful in front of him, we can arouse his protection. When they really sleep together, the Heavenly Elixir sect will come out to cause trouble and give him a badger game. This matter can't be explained clearly. Even if Boss Bai wants to interfere, he has no reason to do so. We'll force him first. If he doesn't comply, we'll destroy his reputation and kill his whole family. Under his fear, he might help us get the information." "Kong Mingming, what do you mean? You won't let my daughter go, right?" Ancestor Xianchen said angrily. "Do you want to die?" Father-in-law, you misunderstood. I mean, let little Peach go, not little 11. Kong Mingming was shocked. He realized that what he said was a little misleading. No wonder Ancestor Xianchen was so angry. Oh, little Peach, that's fine. Ancestor Xianchen nodded. He really didn't care about an ordinary maid. Her life and death had little to do with him. However, what if little Peach doesn't want to go? Impossible. Kong Mingming said confidently. Although my appearance can't be compared to Pan An's, I'm also first-class handsome. The women who fall in love with me have always been infatuated with me. If I let little Peach go, it's impossible for her not to go. I dare say that she's willing to sacrifice herself for me. Kong Mingming wasn't bragging. At least wasn't Xiaofan like this back then? She couldn't forget about Kong Mingming, even to the point of being crazy. Alright, I'll leave this matter to you. Ancestor Xianchen nodded and said, but you have to remember it's fine to play along, but if something really happens between you and little Peach, then don't call me father-in-law. Don't worry, father-in-law. With little Peach's appearance, she's far inferior to little 11. How can I like her? It's impossible. Kong Mingming said. And as for the secular Lu family, I'll help you investigate and then give you a reference. You can think of a way to do it. Ancestor Xianchen nodded and said. Chapter 3143. Little Peach, I haven't seen you for a long time. Did you miss me? Kong Mingming made a handsome gesture and walked toward Little Peach. Little Peach's eyes flashed with doubt, but she still said, Elder Kong, you are already engaged to someone else. Please behave yourself. Don't tease. Little Peach. Haha, Little Peach, there are no outsiders here. When Kong Mingming said this, his expression changed. He sighed and said, Little Peach, you also know that there is a 5-element sect above the Heavenly Elixir sect, right? You are also the closest person to the young master of the Heavenly Silkworm sect. You also know the situation inside. Your big brother Kong had no choice. What? What do you mean? Although Little Peach had already given up on Kong Mingming, she still felt some sympathy when she heard what Kong Mingming said at this moment. She was curious to know what was going on, so she said, Big brother Kong, why are you saying this? Little Peach, I said this to tell you that Ancestor Xuanchen's daughter, Little 11, likes me and wants me to marry her. You also know how powerful Ancestor Xianchen is. Even the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect doesn't dare to disobey his orders. I am just a small elder. Do I dare to disobey him? Kong Mingming said with a bitter face. I had no choice. I could only say those heartless words to you before, but that was not my intention. Is that so? Little Peach was a simple person with no ulterior motives. Although she had given up on Kong Mingming and even hated his guts, she was a little confused when she heard Kong Mingming's explanation at this moment. Was Kong Mingming really forced? As for what Kong Mingming said, Little Peach was also very clear. Ancestor Xianchen was an overbearing old man who kept his word in the Heavenly Elixir sect. Therefore, if this was the case, then Kong Mingming would definitely not dare to disobey Ancestor Xuanchen's words. However, was this true? Of course. Kong Mingming nodded. I had no choice. Little Peach. You also know that there's a saying in Jianghu that you can't help yourself. This is the truth. If I don't want to die and I don't want to harm you, I can only agree to this marriage. I understand. Little Peach nodded and said, Big brother Kong, Little Peach doesn't blame you. I can only blame Little Peach for not having this life. I wish you and Sister 11 happiness. Little Peach, don't say that. Seeing that Little Peach misunderstood him, Kong Mingming hurriedly said, Actually, I don't want to say that. In private, we can still be the same as before. As long as we don't get caught by Patriarch Xianchen, it's fine. Big brother Kong, that won't do. Little Peach can't harm you. If that's the case, you'll definitely be in trouble if someone finds out. Little Peach hurriedly shook her head. Little Peach, since I said that, I'm confident. This is just a worst-case scenario. But now there is one thing. We can be together openly. Although you can't be my first wife, you can still be my second wife. Kong Mingming said, If you do this well, then my master, Ancestor Xianchen, will marry you. He will definitely agree and personally act as your matchmaker. Really? Little Peach grew up in an ancient sect, so there was naturally no concept of monogamy in her mind. Therefore, in her opinion, as long as she could be with Kong Mingming, it didn't matter if she was his wife or concubine. Of course. Kong Mingming nodded and said, But this matter is very difficult, and it may let men take advantage of you. Although I like you and I don't care about these things, I'm afraid that you will care about it. Ah! Little Peach suddenly froze. Let men take advantage of me? To be honest, Little Peach was unwilling. She was a very conservative person. Although she hadn't finished the last step with Kong Ming Ming, her heart was already with Kong Ming. If she had any skin contact with other men, how could she be willing? However, Kong Ming Ming said that he didn't mind. The most important thing was that after this matter, she could be with Kong Ming Ming. Thinking of this, Little Peach was a little excited and hesitant. She couldn't make a choice for a while. Little Peach, think about it. As long as you are willing, you can be with me for the rest of your life. Kong Ming Ming said temptingly. "'Kay, I'll do it." Little Peach gritted her teeth and nodded. "Great, Little Peach, so we can be together for the rest of our lives in the future." Kong Ming Ming said. "Then you go back and prepare. I will take you out. As for the reason for your departure, don't tell young Master Tian. I will ask my master, Ancestor Xianchen, to help you apply for leave." "Ah, okay." Little Peach nodded. Although she liked Kong Ming Ming and believed Kong Ming Ming's words this time, Little Peach didn't blindly obey and trust Kong Ming Ming without thinking. This time, Kong Ming Ming said not to tell Tian Chan, but Little Peach decided to tell Tian Chan after going back, because she didn't want to hide it from Tian Chan. Even if she liked Kong Ming Ming, Tian Chan was still her master. This would not change. Kong Xiaoming, on the other hand, didn't know that Little Peach had other thoughts. When he saw Little Peach nod, he thought that Little Peach was fooled by him again. He happily went to prepare and make a plan. As for Little Peach, she immediately went to report to Tian Chan. In Tian Chan's room, she was refining the elixir needed for the Heaven Step Island plan with Ancestor Xianzhen. After refining another elixir, Ancestor Xianzhen put away the elixir, then wiped the sweat on his forehead and said, "If only I could make a few third-grade automatic medicinal cauldrons. That first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is obviously much more advanced than mine. That first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron can refine elixir as long as one knows how to refine elixir, but this one can't. It needs some skills. Master, who is that person? Since she is so powerful, why don't you accept her as a disciple?" Tian Chan was a little confused. Since this person was also talented in alchemy, wouldn't it be more convenient to take her as a disciple in the future? She has a master. Ancestor Xianzhen smiled bitterly and said, "Moreover, her master is the kind of person I can't afford to provoke." She has a master? Who is her master? Tian Chan was slightly stunned. This was the first time that Ancestor Xianzhen told her about the past. In the past, Ancestor Xianzhen wouldn't mention these things. Chapter 3144. Oh? Could it be that her master is one of the Vajra dual fiends? Tian Chan was shocked. That's not it, but it's their friend. Patriarch Xianzhen shook his head. His surname is Sun, and he's also a very powerful person. He can combine cultivation with science. I heard that he's been working on something that can store the heaven and earth spiritual qi, and carry it with him at any time. As for whether he succeeded or not, I'm not sure. I've only met them once, and I haven't seen them since. I see. Then the two of them are really powerful. However, the killer Vajra duo knew that you were from the Five Elements sect. Didn't they come to the Five Elements sect to cause trouble? Tian Chan asked in confusion. At that time, the killer Vajra duo had already disappeared, and I got to know them under the guise of a wandering cultivator. Patriarch Xianzhen suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Tian Chan, do you think I'm too timid? Of course not. A wise man submits to circumstances. At that time, no one was a match for the killer Vajra duo, so I did this to protect the Five Elements sect. Tian Chan shook her head. Okay, let's not talk about this. That little girl must have grown up now, but she should be a little younger than you. I don't know if I'll have the chance to meet her in the future. However, I really want to know, did Linny think of this medicine cauldron himself? Or did someone help him? Patriarch Xianzhen sighed. It wasn't that he didn't want to ask Boss Bai, but he couldn't. This was because Patriarch Xianzhen wanted to crack the imitation of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. If Patriarch Xianzhen asked, Boss Bai might misunderstand that he was here to ask for information. Therefore, Patriarch Xianzhen could only shut up. As for informing boss by that Patriarch Xianchan wanted to imitate the medicine cauldron, it was meaningless. Even if he informed Patriarch Xianchan, he would still do it. Moreover, Xianchan was doing this for the sake of the Five Elements sect, so Patriarch Xianchan couldn't make this call. As the two were talking, they suddenly closed their mouths at the same time. Someone was coming. "It's Little Peach," Tianchan said when she heard Little Peach's footsteps. Sure enough, the sound of knocking and Little Peach's voice came from outside the room. "Young sect master, are you free? I have something to discuss with you." "Come in, Little Peach," Tianchan said directly because Patriarch Xianzhan was not an outsider. Therefore, she did not avoid it. The moment Little Peach entered, she saw that Tianchan and Ancestor Xianzhan seemed to be concocting pills, so she hurriedly asked, "Young sect master, am I disturbing you?" "It's fine, I won't disturb you." Tianchan waved her hand and said, "Little Peach, if you have something to say, just say it." "This." Little Peach glanced at Patriarch Xianzhan. She didn't want to hide it from him, but what she wanted to say was too embarrassing. He couldn't say it in front of Xianzhan Ancestor. "Hehe. I'm going out to get some fresh air." Patriarch Xianzhan stood up and walked out of the room with a smile. He wasn't going to get some fresh air, but to guard the door for Tianchan. It seemed that Little Peach was going to say something important. After Patriarch Xianzhan left, Little Peach let out a sigh of relief. Although she knew that with Patriarch Xianzhan's strength, he could easily eavesdrop even if he was outside. It was fine as long as it wasn't in front of him. "Young sect master. Today Brother Kong looked for me," Little Peach said with a slightly red face. When Tianchan heard Kong Mingming's name, she immediately frowned and asked vigilantly, "Kong Mingming, why did he look for you?" He said that he actually still likes me." Little Peach told Tianchan everything that Kong Mingming had said to her. She didn't hide it, but she didn't want to lie to Tianchan. In Little Peach's mind, Tianchan was very knowledgeable and could help her make decisions on these matters. "Nonsense." Tianchan heard Little Peach's retelling and rebuked her mercilessly. "Little Peach, he lied to you. After he broke up with you, Patriarch Xianzhan suggested marrying your daughter to him. It wasn't before this. You have to be clear about the timing. Don't be deceived by his flowery words." Huh. At this moment, Little Peach's mind suddenly went blank. Although it was hard for her to accept this fact, she also knew that Tianchan wouldn't lie to her. Although Tianchan's personality was very cold, she definitely wouldn't lie about this kind of thing. However, why would Kong Mingming lie to her? What was the reason? Little Peach wanted to run and argue with Kong Mingming now, and ask him why he lied to her. Looking at Little Peach's appearance, how could Tianchan not guess what she was thinking? So she said lightly, "Little Peach, Kong Mingming is an unreliable person. For his own interests he can do anything. He can betray you today, and he can betray his master the day after tomorrow. Don't take it to heart. As for arguing with him, there's no need to go." "Then, should I refuse him?" Little Peach hesitated and said, "Don't refuse him. You agree to him, and then we'll see what his purpose is." Tianchan had some doubts about Kong Mingming suddenly looking for Little Peach to talk about these things. She wanted to see what kind of trick he was playing, so she wanted Little Peach to beat him at his own game. "Okay, young master, then I agree to him. Let's see what his purpose is." Little Peach nodded. "Take this elixir and then follow me." Tianchan suddenly took out a small porcelain bottle from her arms, poured out an elixir, and handed it to Little Peach. "This is concealment elixir?" Little Peach was slightly stunned. Although she was not an alchemist as Tianchan's maid, she usually heard and saw the name and use of some elixirs. The function of this concealment elixir was to make a person's breath become hidden. If she didn't make any movements, even a heaven stage master would be hard to find. However, this thing could be used to inquire about information, but it couldn't be used to assassinate people. After all, as long as a little bit of mental cultivation method was used, the effect of this elixir would be lost, unless ordinary people took it or the cultivator didn't use mental cultivation method. But this was used to inquire about information. At other times it was not very useful. And this elixir was a third-grade elixir. It was very difficult to refine, so few alchemists would refine these things. The elixir in Tianchan's hand was a few elixir that Tianchan refined when she was practicing third-grade elixir. She didn't expect that it would come in handy at this moment. Chapter 31:45. Tianchan's strength was at the peak of the late stage of Heaven's stage. Although Patriarch Xianchen was at the great perfection of the late stage of Heaven's stage, if Tianchan wanted to hide her movements, Patriarch Xianchen would definitely not be able to detect it. As long as Tianchan did not circulate the mantra and Patriarch Xianchen did not take the initiative to look for her, there was almost no problem. Visit download text / Little Peach had also taken the concealment pill, so it was naturally impossible for Patriarch Xianchen to discover her. The two of them quietly came to Patriarch Xuanchen's window, and at this time, Kong Mingming just happened to enter Patriarch Xuanchen's room. "You're back." Patriarch Xianchen glanced at Kong Mingming and nodded. "How's the situation?" "Father-in-law, everything went smoothly. Little Peach, that silly girl, believed what I said and thought that I was in love with her. She agreed to my suggestion," Kong Xiaoming said proudly. "That's right." Little Peach, who was next to Tianchan, heard Kong Mingming's words, and her body trembled visibly. Her eyes flashed with deep indignation and anger. She did not expect Kong Mingming to deceive her again. He actually said such words in front of Patriarch Xianchen. Sure enough, Tianchan was right. Kong Mingming was not reliable at all. "Yes, but you have to be careful. Don't let me know that there is actually something between you and her." Patriarch Xianchen nodded and said, "Don't worry, father-in-law. With Little Peach's appearance, who would like her? I'm disgusted even if I turn off the lights and go to bed." Kong Mingming hurriedly said, "She is far inferior to Little 11. They are not on the same level at all. I used to get close to her to curry favor with the Sky Silkworm transformation, but now that I have a backer like father-in-law, I don't need to curry favor with others." "Alright, since that's the case, you can go and formulate a plan." Ancestor Xianchen nodded and said with satisfaction. Although Kong Mingming's actions of pursuing Little Peach in order to curry favor with the Sky Silkworm transformation were shameless in the eyes of ordinary people, Ancestor Xianchen was a sinister person. In his eyes, Kong Mingming was a promising talent. Kong Mingming was sinister, but it was enough as long as he didn't do anything sinister to him. "Father-in-law, I'll take my leave now." Kong Mingming turned around and left. Outside the window, Little Peach was trembling with anger and her face was pale. She had never expected that Kong Mingming had been using her to get close to Tianchan. Tears streamed down Little Peach's face. Although she had been sad when Kong Mingming had rejected her, she had never been this sad. Tianchan patted Little Peach's shoulder gently and left quietly with her. When they left, Ancestor Xianchen seemed to have sensed Little Peach's emotional fluctuations. He walked to the window and opened it, only to see a disciple passing by not far away. He shook his head and felt that he had been overly suspicious. "Young sect master, I'm sorry. In the past, I did say a lot of good things about Kong Mingming in front of you," Little Peach said sadly and regretfully when she saw Kong Mingming's true colors. "It's okay. I don't blame you. It's human nature to say good things about your lover." Tianchan waved her hand and said, "I brought you there because I wanted you to see Kong Mingming clearly and not be deceived by him in the future. Young sect master, don't worry. I will sever all ties with him," Little Peach said firmly. "That's not necessary. You can beat him at his own game and see what he and Martial Uncle Xianchen want to do." Tianchan guessed that Kong Mingming and Ancestor Xianchen were brewing some sinister plan again. At this time, Little Peach was responsible for helping to inquire about information, so Tianchan could save some time for investigation. Although it was okay to let Sky Butterfly secretly follow them, Tianchan would try not to use Sky Butterfly if she could. After all, walking too much at night would also make people encounter ghosts. Sky Butterfly's secret could not be discovered by Ancestor Xianchen. "Okay, young sect master, Little Peach will listen to you." Little Peach nodded quickly and said, "What should I do?" "What does Kong Mingming want you to do? Just agree and tell me." "I will tell you what to do," said Tianchan. "Okay, young sect master," Little Peach replied. Blood-clothed Netherworld sect. Ancestor Eeriewoods. I have already investigated. Linny became a cripple some time ago and is in danger. He was poisoned by a poison hidden in the Zhao family. He can't use his true qi, and his meridians are all broken. He has become a cripple. It will be easy to kill him. Ancestor Eeriewoods, the chief steward of blood-clothed Netherworld sect, reported to Ancestor Yellow Spring. Oh? Then you mean we should send someone to kill Linny now? Ancestor Yellow Spring asked. This? I also said that it was some time ago. Now Linny has recovered and is full of energy. Ancestor Eeriewoods said with a bitter smile. Fuck. Ancestor Yellow Spring couldn't help but curse. What the fuck were you doing before? Why didn't you say so earlier? You only said it after he recovered. Aren't you saying it after the fact? What's the point? The intelligence team just reported it to me, so I came to report it to you immediately. Ancestor Eeriewoods also felt a little wronged. The intelligence team is a bunch of good-for-nothings. I don't like them from the beginning. Didn't you teach them a lesson? Eeriewoods, don't you know that information is the most important thing in the assassination business? Ancestor Yellow Spring said resentfully. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring, you know that we're an ancient sect. The habit of inquiring about information has been passed down from ancient times. These people rely on their legs and mouths. They don't use modern technological equipment at all. Ancestor Eeriewoods explained. If it's about the matters and people in the cultivation world, then there's no problem. But when it comes to the people in the secular world, it's difficult because we, the blood-clothed Netherworld sect, are an assassination organization in the cultivation world. We don't touch the targets of the secular world at all. Who would have thought that we would encounter a weirdo like Lin E? What you said makes sense. Ancestor Yellow Spring nodded and agreed with Ancestor Eeriewoods' words. He was not as angry as before. But this efficiency is not good. It's always hindsight. Where are we going to get revenge? This time it's not all hindsight. I've also received some other news regarding Lin E. Old Ancestor Yellow Springs, I'll tell you in detail. Old Ancestor Eeriewoods said quickly. About Lin E? Alright, go ahead. I hope it's good news, Ancestor Yellow Spring said with a nod. Chapter 3146. You call this good news? Ancestor Netherworld frowned. This Lin E can actually kill an expert at the peak of the middle stage of Heaven stage. How strong is he? According to the investigation, he is at the early stage of Heaven stage. Ancestor Eeriewoods said. When he was at the Earth stage, he could kill a Heaven stage in seconds. Now that he is at the Heaven stage, it seems that if we want to kill Lin E, you will have to do it yourself. Maybe it will be safer if you and I go together. Ancestor Netherworld was not a fool. If Lin E could kill a peak of the middle stage of Heaven stage, who could guarantee that Lin E could not kill a peak of the late stage of Heaven stage? According to many investigations, he had always underestimated Lin Yi's strength, which brought immeasurable and painful consequences to the blood-clothed Netherworld sect. Therefore, this time Ancestor Netherworld was no longer arrogant. He became smarter and more cautious. That's right. However, there is another piece of news that has not been confirmed. Several other Heaven stage experts from the Dongfang clan also died in the hands of Lin E. Moreover, they were killed in seconds. Therefore, Lin Yi's combat strength cannot be estimated for the time being. Ancestor Eeriewoods said. Moreover, the most important thing is that Lin E made a fool out of Heavenly Elixir Sect's Elder Kong Mingming a while ago, but Heavenly Elixir Sect did nothing about it. They have no intention of touching Lin E at all. Others may not know, but we know that Heavenly Elixir Sect is backed by the Five Elements Sect. Oh? What's going on? Ancestor Netherworld asked quickly after listening. It's like this. Lin E invented a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron that can automatically refine elixirs. Ancestor Eeriewoods told Ancestor Netherworld about Lin Yi's recent movements. It's not that the Five Elements Sect does not touch Lin E, but they are worried about the Cultivator Trade Association. However, I'm a little worried about Lin E. Let's go and find him. Don't fail miserably. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring pondered for a moment and said, Yeah, that's why I don't agree with making Lin E our enemy. Eerie Ancestor nodded and said, So, other than that, the intelligence team has a suggestion. Because Lin E is too strange, we can attack Lin Yi's family. As long as Lin Yi's family dies, Lin E will be heartbroken. It will also be considered as a disguised blow to Lin E, and it will also be revenge. Alright. Ask the intelligence team to find out who Lin Yi's family is, And where they are as soon as possible, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring said. Yes, this subordinate will go and investigate. Old Ancestor Eerie Woods hurriedly agreed. In fact, there was no need to investigate. The reason why the intelligence team made this suggestion was because they had already gotten some results from their investigation. Therefore, not long after Patriarch Eerie Woods went back to understand the situation, he brought the person in charge of the Yellow Spring Sex Intelligence team to Patriarch Yellow Spring. This subordinate, Flying Cat, greets the Old Ancestor Yellow Spring. The person in charge of the intelligence team was called Flying Cat, and he did have the ability to leap onto roofs and vault over walls. However, his ability was limited to the cultivation world, and he wasn't as good at getting information about the common world. This was also the reason why it took so long to investigate Lin Yi. And according to Eerie Woods, you've already found out about Lin Yi's family? Old Ancestor Yellow Spring asked. He was quite happy this time. The efficiency of the intelligence team almost made him curse out loud, even though his mother had died a long time ago. Yes, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring. According to my investigation, the women closest to Lin Yi are Meng Yao, Yushu, Tang Yun, Xiao Xiao, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing. These are the ones who are closer to Lin Yi. The rest don't appear around Lin Yi often, so I didn't investigate further. Flying Cat said. Oh, so you're saying that if we kill all these women, Lin Yi will be sad? But that Chu something Yao, why does that name sound so familiar? I think I've heard it somewhere before. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring asked. You're wise, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring. Flying Cat nodded. This Chu Mingyao is the inheritor of the Dark Palace. She's also the reason why the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace and the ancient Dongfang House became enemies. Heir? Then what are you talking about? Do we dare touch someone like that? If she dies, our Bloodcloak Yellow Spring sect will become the public enemy of the ancient world. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring frowned. Even if the Bloodcloak Yellow Spring sect was one of the more unique ones in the ancient world, and people didn't dare mess with them easily, but if they were to go against the interests of the entire ancient world, the only result would be death. And so, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring was very annoyed. Can't you say something useful? The useful thing is that we can't touch any of these women. Flying Cat smiled bitterly. Not a single one of them? What do you mean? Old Ancestor Yellow Spring paused, thinking that he heard wrong. Yushu, if our investigation is correct, she should be the inheritor of the fire element that the Five Elements sect has been secretly nurturing through the hidden house Yu, and Tang Yun is the inheritor of the Snow Valley, and she is now the elder of the Snow Valley. Xiao Xiao is the heir of Ice Palace, and is now the vice leader of Ice Palace. As for Han Jingjing, she was Five Elements sect. She was the student of Patriarch Profound Heaven. However, she was not an ordinary student but a student who could concoct pills. Patriarch Profound Heaven valued her greatly, so even Patriarch Profound Earth didn't dare to make a move against her. As for Wang Xinyan, she's an elder of the Sky Elixir sect, and the fiancé of Elder Xuanshan's son-in-law, Kong Mingming's big brother Kong Xiaolong. She's not easy to touch. Flying Cat explained. Fuck. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring couldn't take it anymore. At the end of the day, this Lin Yi is surrounded by people related to the Five Elements sect, so how are we supposed to kill them? No matter who we kill, our Bloodcloak Yellow Spring sect will die. Even if we kill the people from the Day and Day sect, we can't touch people related to the Five Elements sect. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring, please let me finish. Flying Cat said helplessly, I'm just reporting the results of my investigation, but that doesn't mean we can't touch the people I'm about to say. Oh, go on then. Who else can we touch around Lin Yi? Asked Old Ancestor Huang Quan with a frown. We can't touch the women around Lin Yi, but we can touch his family, Flying Cat said. According to our investigation, Lin Yi has returned to a place called Star West Village a few times, and there's a grandfather there. Of course, we can't find out the specifics, only that his surname is Lin, and he's just a normal villager in the common world. It's not worth investigating his name. All we know is that he's a traveling doctor. Chapter 3147. That's right. No matter how I think about it, only this person's death will make Lin Yi sad, and we won't get into any trouble. Flying Cat nodded. Otherwise, killing any of the women around Lin Yi will cause great trouble. Only this old man's death will be fine. So I suggest that we kill this old man. Oh, since he's just a country bumpkin, can we just send any golden class expert to deal with him? Old ancestor Yellow Spring said indifferently. That won't do. Flying Cat shook his head. I'm afraid that what if Linny goes back? That's true. In that case, Sen and I will personally go and kill this old man first. Then we'll wait for Linny to come and die. Originally, old ancestor Yellow Spring was also very worried about going to the secular world to deal with Linny. After all, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was different from the ancient sections. There was no such thing as revenge in the assassin group. Once they accepted the task, they would either kill or be killed. If the assassin group also participated in the revenge, it would be a mess. However, because Linny was a rogue cultivator and Linny didn't have any influence when they investigated him, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect chose to retaliate. However, this was done secretly. If it was done in the open, the other ancient sects wouldn't be happy. If the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect came to kill me, and I was lucky enough not to be killed, would you send endless people to continue killing me? This obviously went against the original intention of the task and broke the rules. The blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was not allowed to act in the secular world. This was not only a rule of the ancient level, but also a promise that the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was forced to make. This promise was also a promise to the assassin group in the secular world. They would never cross the boundary of the world of assassins, and would never touch the secular world. Although it sounded a bit funny, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was like a high and mighty ancient sect. How could they compromise with a secular assassin group? Yet they compromised. There was no other reason but because the biggest assassin group in the secular world was one of the two ruthless people who swept through the ancient level. Mr. Yang, one of the dual fiends of Vajra, was in charge. When he faced Mr. Yang, Bloodrobes and Yellow Spring sect's master, the king of assassins in the cultivation world, had no choice but to lower his head and follow Mr. Yang out of Bloodrobes and Yellow Spring sect. Although the departure of the king of assassins in the cultivation world was known throughout the ancient times, no one knew that Mr. Yang was the king of assassins in the secular world. This was the inside story of the assassin industry. Without Mr. Yang's permission, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect would attack. He didn't dare to make it public. What's more, this wasn't something to be proud of. An assassin organization in the cultivation world bowed down to an assassin organization in the secular world. This was simply an unimaginable fantasy. Even though those two ruthless men had disappeared for more than a decade, they were still able to survive. Moreover, the other ancient and hidden planes had also begun to gradually forget about the negative influence brought by these two ruthless people. However, it would be best if they could get rid of Linny without breaking the promise of the past. After all, in the hearts of Yellow Spring and Bloodrobes, the two ruthless dual fiends of Vajra had already cast a shadow over them. The West Star Mountain village was remote, and basically couldn't be considered as the secular world. Killing Linny's relatives there, and then attracting Linny to kill Linny wouldn't be considered breaking the promise of the past. Why don't let blood-clothed ancestor take action? You and him are both experts at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. Even if Linny is strange, the three of us together will be able to kill Linny. Gloomy Ancestor suggested cautiously. Alright, blood-clothed ancestor is about to come out of seclusion. It's a good time to relax and kill some people. Ancestor Yellow Spring pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. If that's the case, it'll be hard for Linny to not die. Gloomy Ancestor laughed sinisterly. Heavenly Elixir sect. Kong Ming Ming came up with a plan and looked for Little Peach again. On the surface, Little Peach didn't seem to notice anything and still looked forward to being with Kong Ming Ming in the future. However, in her heart, she was already completely disappointed in Kong Ming Ming. Brother Kong, you asked Little Peach to come because that matter has been confirmed? What do you need Little Peach to do? Little Peach asked very enthusiastically. It's like this. This time, there's a very good opportunity to arrange for you to go to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and become Kong Xiaobo's secretary. Kong Ming Ming said. Previously, Kong Xiaobo's secretary resigned. Currently, the company is recruiting, but they need a certain understanding of pharmacology. And you meet this requirement. You have professional research on medicinal herbs and pharmacology. I believe that this position will not be difficult for you at all. Because a secretary is also a servant, and you are also the servant of the young master in Heavenly Elixir sect. So these things will be easy for you. Originally, Kong Mingming was still thinking about how to send Little Peach to Kong Xiaobo's side and let her get close to Kong Xiaobo. He wanted to use some tricks, but he didn't expect such an opportunity to suddenly appear in front of him. This made Kong Mingming inexplicably happy. This was simply tailor-made for Little Peach. Actually, some time ago, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was in a crisis, and the secretary beside Kong Xiaobo, because of his poor foresight, felt that Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company would not be able to recover. So, he submitted his resignation letter. Because Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was in a bad situation, Kong Xiaobo didn't hire a new secretary until Lu Jing'an's first-grade automatic cauldron was sold, and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was back on the right track. Fatty Lai and Kong Xiaobo heaved a sigh of relief, and then they started to hire again. They replaced the employees who left when the company was in a crisis, and one of them was Kong Xiaobo's secretary. This created a good opportunity for Kong Mingming. He effortlessly sent Little Peach away. He didn't even need to make up a story. Okay, then I'll go apply for the job now. But how do I apply for leave from the young master? Little Peach quickly nodded and asked, then does that mean I won't be taken advantage of? That won't work. Haven't you heard of this saying? If the boss doesn't have anything to do, the secretary does. If you don't get taken advantage of, then how can you get close to Kong Xiaobo and make him trust you so that you can steal the technology of the first-grade automatic cauldron? Kong Mingming shook his head and said, it's okay, I won't despise you. Just treat it as you sacrificing yourself for me. Little Peach, don't worry. Chapter 31:48. Peach, on the other hand, treated it as a joke. Her face didn't change at all. Then, would Xiaobo be interested in someone like me? He is a big boss. What kind of woman hasn't he seen? How can he like me? This is not necessarily true. My cousin has a special hobby. The women he likes are different from others. He even likes the cripple, let alone you. When Kong Mingming said this, he suddenly realized that he had made a slip of the tongue. He quickly explained, Little Peach, of course, I'm not saying that you are not good-looking. You are a talented woman with inner beauty. I believe that Kong Xiaobo will discover this when the time comes. You don't have to worry. As long as you are willing to put in some effort, you can definitely get him hooked. Okay, then I'll try. Little Peach nodded. If it was before, she would definitely be angry when Kong Mingming said this to her. But now, Kong Mingming was just a passerby in her eyes. There was nothing to be angry about. Remember, no matter what, you must please Kong Xiaobo and get the information. Kong Mingming said, only when we get the information can we be together in the future. Otherwise, Master will definitely not allow me to marry a second wife. And I got it. Little Peach despised in her heart. Even if I get the information, Patriarch Xianchen will not agree to let me be your concubine. If that's the case, then you go and prepare. Then, I will ask Master to inform the young sect master. I believe that with Patriarch Xianchen, the young sect master will not obstruct us for such a small matter. Kong Mingming said. Brother Kong, then I'll go first. Little Peach nodded. Looking at Little Peach's back as she left, Kong Mingming's mouth flashed a sneer. It just so happens that I don't know how to deal with Little Peach. This time I can give her to my brother who likes to pick up used shoes. TSK, it's really a bargain for Kong Xiaobo. I haven't even touched Little Peach, but with her trashy looks, even if I touch her, I won't be interested. After Little Peach left, she immediately went to Tian Chan's room. She told Tian Chan everything that Kong Mingming had told her today. Tian Chan frowned slightly. In that case, Patriarch Xianchen and Kong Mingming wanted to deal with Lin Yi. They wanted to obtain the manufacturing information of first-grade automatic medicinal cauldrons from Lin Yi. Sure enough, he hadn't let Little Peach feign ignorance for nothing. He had actually obtained such an important piece of information. Should he warn Lin Yi? However, after pondering for a moment, Tian Chan gave up on this idea. Firstly, she wanted to inform Lin Yi at this time. It was easy to be exposed. Secondly, what identity should she use to inform Lin Yi? And most importantly, Little Peach had already betrayed Kong Mingming. Therefore, Tian Chan didn't have to worry that Little Peach would really betray Lin Yi. So she nodded and said, I understand. You can leave first, I will think of a way. Okay, young master. Little Peach knew that Tian-chan wouldn't harm her, so she left with peace of mind. After Little Peach left, Tian-chan suddenly said, "Tian-dai, come in." A black shadow floated in from the window. It was Tian-dai. "Young master." Tian-dai's face was cold and she said respectfully to Tian-chan, "Tian-dai, go investigate the information about Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, Kong Xiaobo, and then come back to me immediately." Tian-chan ordered Tian-dai. "Yes, young master." Tian-dai replied and disappeared again in the blink of an eye. Not long after Tian-dai left, there were footsteps outside Tian-chan's door. If Tian-chan didn't hear wrongly, the person who came was Ancestor Xianchen. She didn't expect Ancestor Xianchen to come in person. This was a great honor. And it also showed Ancestor Xianchen's determination to send Little Peach out. If Ancestor Xianchen had casually greeted Tian-chan previously, it was possible for her to refuse. But now that Ancestor Xianchen had come in person, if Tian-chan refused again, it would not only arouse suspicion, but Tian-chan wouldn't be able to resist Ancestor Xianchen's anger. After all, the reason why the entire Heavenly Elixir sect could become the leader of the ancient sects was not only because of alchemy, but also because of the support of the Five Elements sect. Without the support of the Five Elements sect, the Heavenly Elixir sect was just a small alchemy sect, and it was impossible for it to grow so quickly. Therefore, whether from the perspective of public or private, Tian-chan couldn't refuse. "Sky Silkworm transformation, what are you busy with?" Under Little Peach's guidance, Ancestor Xianchen smiled and walked into Tian-chan's room. Behind him was Kong Ming. "Sky Silkworm transformation greets Uncle Master Xianchen." Tian-chan hurriedly greeted. "May I know why Uncle Master Xianchen has come here personally? If you have any errands, just call me over." Actually, it's not a big deal." Ancestor Xianchen shook his head and smiled. "Isn't it because of me, his son-in-law? I think you know about the matter between him and your maidservant Little Peach. Although he married my daughter, he still has Little Peach, his first love, in his heart. At first I was against it. Naturally, I didn't want my daughter to snatch a man from another woman. However, I don't know what Xiaoming told my daughter, but she actually agreed to let him take a concubine and let Little Peach become his concubine. Since my daughter has said so as a father, it's not good for me to be a villain. So it's better to fulfill their wish. Anyway, my daughter is willing, so I can't say anything, right?" Tian-chan naturally didn't believe Ancestor Xianchen's nonsense, but on the surface, she had to pretend to be very surprised. "Is that so? So that's how it is. Uncle Master, what do you mean?" "Well, Xiaoming has nothing to do recently. I asked him to bring Little Peach home to visit his family. It might take a while, so I specially came over to tell you to take a leave," Ancestor Xianchen said. "Anyway, you have a maidservant Tianxi now. You don't need Little Peach, so there's no problem, right?" "Of course there's no problem. Since Uncle Master Xianchen has spoken, and the person involved is also willing, I can't stop it." Tian-chan smiled and said, "We are an ancient sect, and we still have the customs of ancient times. Polygamy is within reason, and in my eyes it is very normal. Even I am like this, so how can I ask my subordinates to do it?" After all, the image of Tian-chan in the outside world was that she was elegant and had many women, so there was no problem with her words. However, these words were purely for Kong Ming to hear. Chapter 3149. "Thank you, young master." Kong Ming quickly cupped his fist and said. He didn't expect Tian Silkworm to be so easy to talk to. She agreed without stopping him at all. But thinking about it, his father-in-law was here in person. How could Tian Silkworm as a junior not give him face? Ancestor Xianchen was very satisfied. He thought that he would have to spend a lot of time talking. He didn't expect Tian-chan to be so reasonable. However, Ancestor Xianchen considered the problem from the perspective of Tian-chan being a girl. Now, it seemed that Tian-chan's personality had become more like a man after years of disguise. Therefore, Ancestor Xianchen didn't suspect anything and left with Kong Ming. High-quality update. After Ancestor Xianchen left with Kong Ming, only Tian-chan and Little Peach were left in the room. Tian-chan said, "When the time comes, go to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and do what you need to do. You can build a good relationship with Kong Xiaobo, but you don't have to seduce him. You don't have to care about what Kong Ming said to you. Just do your job." As for the information, don't think about it for now. Yes, young master. Little Peach quickly agreed. Little Peach quickly agreed. To be honest, if she didn't have to sacrifice her body, Little Peach would be very willing to go to the secular world to see the world. After all, she had lived in the heavenly elixir sect since she was a child and had never been exposed to the outside world. Although she wouldn't complain, who wouldn't yearn for those new things? If possible, Little Peach would be very willing to go to the secular world. High-quality update. Tian Dai was very efficient. That night, a piece of information about Kong Xiaobo was sent to Tian Chan. Blood Cloak Underworld sect didn't use some high-tech methods, but Tian Dai didn't rule out the possibility that Tian Dai wouldn't use it. There were many reports about Kong Xiaobo in Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. As for Kong Xiaobo, she would know more or less after asking his former classmates. When Tian Chan saw that Kong Xiaobo was Lin Yi's first follower, she couldn't help but be surprised. She didn't expect Kong Xiaobo and Lin Yi to have such a relationship. Kong Xiaobo was Lin Yi's follower, and Little Peach was her maid. If Little Peach really followed Kong Xiaobo, it wouldn't be a loss. Suddenly Tian Chan realized that she was thinking too much. Why did she suddenly think of these messy things? This made Tian Chan's face slightly hot. Fortunately, there was only Tian Dai in the room. Tian Dai worshipped Tian Chan blindly. She wouldn't think that there was anything wrong with Tian Chan, nor would she doubt Tian Chan's matters. This Xiao Fan is a woman that Kong Mingming dumped in the past, and she jumped off a building? A cripple too? Tian Chan was a little surprised. This Xiaobo was too much of a love falling for Fan. As for the matter of Xiao Fan's leg recovering, Tian Chan didn't find it strange. She fell down the cliff and was about to die, but Lin Yi still saved her. A leg wasn't a problem for Lin Yi. High-quality update, however. These matters also made Tian Chan come to a conclusion. Kong Xiaobo was a good person. This made her feel at ease about Little Peach's matter. After asking Tian Dai to leave, Tian Chan called Little Peach over again. Young sect master, you were looking for me? Little Peach didn't know why Tian Chan called her over so quickly. Kong Xiaobo is a good person. Possible he is a good choice. Tian Chan said faintly. Even Tian Chan herself didn't understand why she said this. Just to find an identity illusion? Ah! Little Peach was stunned. She didn't expect Tian Chan to say this. Young sect master, you. Nothing. This is Kong Xiaobo's information. Take a look. I just think that if you stay in the heavenly elixir sect, you will be killed by Kong Mingming sooner or later. Staying in the secular world is an opportunity, Tian Chan said and put a stack of information in front of Little Peach. Young sect master, I don't want to leave you. Don't chase me away, okay? Little Peach was shocked and quickly said. Who said I want to chase you away? I just want you to stay in the secular world. Maybe one day I don't want to be the young sect master anymore. Maybe I will go to you. At that time you can still see me. Tian Chan said. You should understand what I mean. Ah, I understand. Little Peach was slightly stunned. Then she remembered that Tian Chan was a woman. So in the future, the heavenly elixir sect must continue the family line. But Tian Chan couldn't. She could only take over Tian Chan's position, and then give birth to a new young sect master. However, Little Peach would never think that Tian Chan's idea was just because Kong Xiaobo was Lin Yi's little brother. Well, take a look at this information. You can also understand Kong Xiaobo and have a response. Tian Chan nodded and said, Okay, young sect master. Little Peach picked up Kong Xiaobo's information. This information was very detailed. From when Kong Xiaobo was in the same class as Lin Yi in school, to the conflict with Kong Mingming's family, to attending the birthday banquet with Xiao Fan, avenging Xiao Fan, and then becoming the vice CEO of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Everything was written clearly. Actually, when Tian Chan first got this information, she also felt that it was very magical. Lin Yi was actually a student. Moreover, from the information, Lin Yi seemed to be unable to go against the secular houses. The secular house you already made Lin Yi very afraid, let alone the hidden houses. However, in a short period of less than a year, he grew to such a level. It was really unbelievable. From a golden class master to a sky class master, he used less than a year? Tian Chan suddenly felt a sense of defeat. She and Bingtang were the top prodigies in the ancient world. Other than people like Zhang Naipeo who used extreme methods to train, people like them who didn't use medicinal pellets to break through to sky class were very rare. Even so, they used more than 10 years, unlike Lin Yi who stepped into sky class in less than a year. Before, Tian Chan still felt that her position and Lin Yi's were too far apart, and they wouldn't have the chance to be together in this lifetime. But now that she looked at this information, Tian Chan's heart was suddenly filled with anticipation. If Lin Yi was given a period of time, the ancient world would no longer be an obstacle for Lin Yi. Just like the former noble house level and the hidden level, they would all become the stepping stones for Lin Yi to rise to the top. And at that moment, even the Xianchen old ancestor wouldn't be able to pose a threat to Lin Yi. Now Tian Chan also understood why the Xianchen old ancestor was so afraid of Lin Yi. In time they probably wouldn't be Lin Yi's opponent anymore. Chapter 3150. Because according to Tian Chan's research, Lin Yi was the most powerful existence in the same level at every level. It was a very easy thing for Lin Yi to fight against enemies of a higher level. If Lin Yi was promoted to the peak of the late stage of heaven stage, would he become the number one in the world? The number one person under the heavenly Tao. This was not a joke, it was very possible. Of course, Tian Chan omitted this information and did not give it to Little Peach. The information that Little Peach looked at was basically about Kong Xiaobo, and there were only a few pieces of information about Lin Yi. Kong Ming. So he is such a bad person? Little Peach looked at the information, her eyes full of anger. Previously, she was fascinated by Kong Ming, but now it seemed that she was too stupid. Little Peach, you finally saw through him? Tian Chan shook her head and said, Kong Ming is a person who is blinded by greed. When he first joined the Heavenly Elixir sect, I felt that this person's nature was not good, but seeing that you like him I didn't say much. Now it seems that you and him did not continue to develop, otherwise you will still suffer in the future. One day, if Kong Ming meets a stronger backer, he can also get rid of Little 11 and old ancestor Xianchen. Sai, young sect leader, thank you for reminding me. Otherwise, I would have thought that Kong Ming was forced to do this. Little Peach sighed. She did not expect that her beautiful first love would end so cruelly. In the future, she would also learn to be smart and not easily trust others. Alright, you pack up and go to Xiaobo's company. Xiaobo's a nice guy if he likes you. I'll be happy to meet him. If he likes you, you will have a good marriage. Tian Chan had a good impression of Kong Xiaobo. Besides, how bad could Lin Yi's little brother be? Moreover, truth be told, Tian Chan's other goal was to get in touch with Lin Yi through Little Peach and Kong Xiaobo. Since Kong Xiaobo was a really good person, and the ancient sect didn't pay much attention to the first wife and second wife, Tian Chan felt that Kong Xiaobo was a good person. This was a good home for Little Peach. Little Peach was stunned. She didn't expect that Tian Chan would ask her to get in touch with Kong Xiaobo. Little Peach was not a person who couldn't tell right from wrong. When she saw Kong Xiaobo's introduction, she knew that Kong Xiaobo was a good man. Compared with Kong Ming, they were like heaven and earth. It would be a lie to say that Little Peach did not have a good impression of such a man. However, Little Peach had just suffered an emotional setback. Let her walk out of the shadow and start another love. It wasn't easy. At least, she was a little disappointed and didn't dare to fall in love. Young sect leader. I want to serve you for the rest of my life. I don't want to get married. Little Peach hesitated and said, Hey, if you can be with Kong Xiaobo, maybe in the future you will still be by my side. Tian Chan smiled mysteriously. What do you mean? Young sect leader, do you also like Kong Xiaobo? Little Peach was slightly stunned. Tian Chan suddenly had black lines on her forehead. I don't like Kong Xiaobo. Okay, don't ask. Quickly pack up and report to me if there's any news. Oh, okay. Young sect leader. Little Peach nodded and went to pack her things. After the baptism of ups and downs in Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company, a portion of the employees who were uncertain about the company resigned and went elsewhere. As for those who were loyal to the company, Fatty Lai and Kong Xiaobo raised their positions and salaries accordingly, making them happy for their choice. Little Peach, with her excellent theoretical knowledge and well-educated image, successfully overcame all obstacles and became Kong Xiaobo's new secretary. As for the new secretary, Kong Xiaobo was very happy. Even Fatty Lai was jealous. Fatty Lai's secretary was also someone who got in through connections, and he also resigned this time. However, Little Peach applied for the position of vice president's secretary, and not the CEO's secretary, so Fatty Lai couldn't take her away. So, on the first day of the recruitment, Little Peach immediately took up the position. Her strong professional knowledge made Kong Xiaobo look at her in a different light, and he started to rely on her more and more. As for Little Peach's successful promotion, Kong Mingming was very excited, especially when Kong Xiaobo trusted Little Peach more and more. Kong Mingming felt that the day when he got a first-grade medicine cauldron was not far away. Because of Tian Chan's first impression, Little Peach's impression of Kong Xiaobo was very good. In the company, because she was only responsible for Kong Xiaobo, she was in contact with Kong Xiaobo every day, and this made Little Peach pay more and more attention to Kong Xiaobo. However, what made Kong Mingming disappointed was that the information Little Peach sent back had nothing to do with first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons, and the work and financial reports that Kong Xiaobo handled every day had nothing to do with first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons. Either the process first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't handled by Kong Xiaobo, or the first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't produced by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company at all. As Little Peach became more and more trusted by Kong Xiaobo, she came into contact with more and more core secrets of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. She even came into contact with some of the raw materials and production costs of products such as painkillers and injury medicine, but there was not a single bit of information about first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons. Of course, the information Little Peach reported was filtered by Tian Chan. Tian Chan would always pass some information that seemed precious, but was actually useless to Little Peach to pass to Kong Mingming. For example, there were many raw materials for injury medicine and painkillers, but Tian Chan picked out a few of the most common raw materials, and asked Little Peach to tell Kong Mingming so that Kong Mingming wouldn't suspect anything. As for the information about first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons, Little Peach really didn't get it. It wasn't that she purposely hid it. After a period of investigation, Kong Mingming gradually lost his patience. After all, he also guessed that first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't produced by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but by House Lu? Now that he thought about it, it was really possible. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was just a name. After all, first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons were electronic devices, while Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company produced medicinal materials. After Kong Mingming's investigation, House Lu did own an electronic company. It used to produce computer parts, but now it changed to making first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons. It was possible.